The Bhagavad Gita, or the Song of God, was revealed by Lord Sri Krishna to Arjuna on the threshold of the epic war of Mahabharata. A decisive battle between two sets of cousins, the Kauravas and the Pandavas, was just about to commence on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. A detailed account of the reasons that led to such a colossal war is given under Introduction, the setting of the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is primarily a conversation between Lord Sri Krishna and Arjuna. However, the first chapter begins with a dialogue between King Dhritarashtra and his minister Sanjay. Dhritarashtra, being blind, could not leave his palace in Hastinapur, but was eager to know the ongoings of the battlefield. Sanjay was a disciple of sage Ved Vyas, the author of the epic Mahabharata and several other Hindu scriptures. Sage Ved Vyas possessed a mystic ability to see and hear events occurring in distant places. He had bestowed upon Sanjay the miraculous power of distant vision. Therefore, Sanjay could see and hear what transpired on the battleground of Kurukshetra, and gave a first-hand account to King Dhritarashtra while still being in his palace. Bhagavad Gita 1.1 Dhritarashtra said, "O Sanjay, after gathering on the holy field of Kurukshetra and desiring to fight, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do?" Bhagavad Gita 1.2. Sanjay said, "On observing the Pandava army standing in military formation, King Duryodhan approached his teacher Dronakarya and said the following words." Bhagavad Gita 1.3. Duryodhan said, "Respected teacher, behold the mighty army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arrayed for battle by your own gifted disciple, the son of Drupad." Bhagavad Gita 1.4, 1.6. Behold, in their ranks are many powerful warriors, like Yuyudhan, Virat, and Drupad, wielding mighty bows and equal in military prowess to Bhim and Arjun. There are also accomplished heroes like Drishtakatu, Chekitan, the gallant king of Kashi, Purujit, Kuntibhoj, and Shaibya, all the best of men. In their ranks, they also have the courageous Yudamanyu, the gallant Uttamauja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi, who are all great warrior chiefs. Bhagavad Gita 1.7. O best of Brahmins, hear too about the principal generals on our side, who are especially qualified to lead. These I now recount unto you, Bhagavad Gita 1-8. There are personalities like yourself, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwatthama, Vaikarn, and Bhurishrava, who are ever victorious in battle. Bhagavad Gita 1.9. Also, there are many other heroic warriors, who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. They are all skilled in the art of warfare and equipped with various kinds of weapons. Bhagavad Gita 1.10. The strength of our army is unlimited, and we are safely marshaled by Grandsire Bhishma, while the strength of the Pandava army, carefully marshaled by Bhim, is limited. Bhagavad Gita 1.11. Therefore, I call upon all the generals of the Kaurava army now to give full support to Grandsire Bhishma, even as you defend your respective strategic points. Bhagavad Gita 1.12. Then, the grand old man of the Kuru dynasty, the glorious patriarch Bhishma, roared like a lion and blew his conch shell very loudly, giving joy to Duryodhan. Bhagavad Gita 1.13. Thereafter, conches, kettle drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns suddenly blared forth, and their combined sound was overwhelming. Bhagavad Gita 1.14. Then, from amidst the Pandava army, seated in a glorious chariot drawn by white horses, Madhav and Arjun blew their divine conch shells. Bhagavad Gita 1.15. Hrishikesh blew his conch shell, called Panchajanya, and Arjun blew the Devadutta. Bhim, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his mighty conch, called Poundra. Bhagavad Gita 1.16, 1.18. King Yudhishthir blew the Ananta Vijay, while Nakul and Sahadev blew the Sughosh and Manipushpak. The excellent archer and king of Kashi, the great warrior Shikandi, Drishtadhyumna, Virat, and the invincible Satyaki, Drupad, the 5 sons of Draupadi, and the mighty armed Abhimanyu, son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells, O ruler of the earth. Bhagavad Gita 1.19. The terrific sound thundered across the sky and the earth, and shattered the hearts of your sons, O Dhritarashtra. Bhagavad Gita 120. At that time the son of Pandu, Arjun, who had the insignia of Hanuman on the flag of his chariot, took up his bow. Seeing your sons arrayed against him, O king, Arjun then spoke the following words to Sri Krishna. Bhagavad Gita 121-122. Arjun said, O infallible one, please take my chariot to the middle of both armies, so that I may look at the warriors arrayed for battle, whom I must fight in this great combat. Bhagavad Gita 123. I desire to see those who have come here to fight on the side of the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra, wishing to please him. Bhagavad Gita 124. Sanjay said, O Dhritarashtra, having thus been addressed by Arjun, the conqueror of sleep, Sri Krishna then drew the magnificent chariot between the two armies. Bhagavad Gita 125. In the presence of Bhishma, Dronakarya, and all the other kings, Sri Krishna said, O Parth, behold these Kurus gathered here. Bhagavad Gita 126. There, Arjun could see stationed in both armies his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, cousins, sons, nephews, grandnephews, friends, fathers-in-law, and well-wishers. Bhagavad Gita 127. Seeing all his relatives present there, Arjun, the son of Kunti, was overwhelmed with compassion, and with deep sorrow spoke the following words. Bhagavad Gita 128. Arjun said, O Krishna, seeing my own kinsmen arrayed for battle here and intent on killing each other, my limbs are giving way, and my mouth is drying up. Bhagavad Gita 129-131. My whole body shudders, my hair is standing on end. My bow, the Gandhi, is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning all over. My mind is in quandary and whirling in confusion. I am unable to hold myself steady any longer. O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon, I only see omens of misfortune. I do not foresee how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle. Bhagavad Gita 132-133. O Krishna, I do not desire victory, kingdom, or the happiness accruing to it. Of what avail will be a kingdom, pleasures, or even life itself, when the very persons for whom we covet them are standing before us for battle? Bhagavad Gita 134-135. Teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, grandsons, fathers-in-law, grandnephews, brothers-in-law, and other kinsmen are present here, staking their lives and riches. O Madhusudan, I do not wish to slay them, even if they attack me. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, what satisfaction will we derive from the dominion over the three worlds, what to speak of this earth? Bhagavad Gita 136-137. O maintainer of all living entities, what pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? Even though they may be aggressors, sin will certainly come upon us if we slay them. Hence, it does not behoove us to kill our own cousins, the sons of Dhritarashtra, and friends. O Madhav, Krishna, how can we hope to be happy by killing our own kinsmen? Bhagavad Gita 138-139. Their thoughts are overpowered by greed, and they see no wrong in annihilating their relatives or wreaking treachery upon friends. Yet, O Janardhan, Krishna, why should we, who can clearly see the crime in killing our kindred, not turn away from this sin? Bhagavad Gita 140. When a dynasty is destroyed, its traditions get vanquished, and the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. Bhagavad Gita 141. With the preponderance of vice, O Krishna, the women of the family become immoral, and from the immorality of women, O descendant of Vrishni, unwanted progeny are born. Bhagavad Gita 142. An increase in unwanted children results in hellish life, both for the family and for those who destroy the family. Deprived of sacrificial offerings, the ancestors of such corrupt families also fall. Bhagavad Gita 143. Through the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted progeny, a variety of social and family welfare activities are ruined. Bhagavad Gita 144. O Janardhan, Krishna, I have heard from the learned that those who destroy family traditions dwell in hell for an indefinite period of time. Bhagavad Gita 145-146. Alas, how strange it is that we have set our mind to perform this great sin with horrifying consequences. Driven by the desire for kingly pleasures, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. It would be better if, with weapons in hand, the sons of Dhritarashtra kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. Bhagavad Gita 147. Sanjay said, Speaking thus, Arjun cast aside his bow and arrows and sank into the seat of his chariot, his mind in distress and overwhelmed with grief. Have you ever felt completely overwhelmed, standing at a crossroads, not knowing which path to take? A moment where everything you believed in is challenged, and the right thing to do feels impossibly wrong? That's exactly where the great warrior Arjun finds himself at the start of this chapter. His heart is heavy, his mind in turmoil. He looks at the battlefield, not at enemies, but at his own family, his teachers, and his elders. The thought of fighting them, of causing their deaths, is just too much to bear. He lays down his weapons, his famous bow Gandiva slipping from his grasp, and turns to his charioteer and friend, Sri Krishna. In this moment of utter despair, Arjun surrenders. He says, Krishna, I am lost. I can't see the way forward. Please, I beg you, be my spiritual teacher, my guru, and guide me out of this darkness. This surrender is a pivotal moment. It's the point where knowledge can finally flow. And so, the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, begins to unveil the divine wisdom of the ages. He starts with a truth that shatters our common understanding of life and death. He tells Arjun, You are grieving for those who are not worthy of grief. What does he mean? He explains that what we see, this physical body, is temporary. It's like a set of clothes. But the one wearing the clothes, the soul within, is eternal. It was never born, and it will never die. Death is just the destruction of the physical body, a shell. The soul, the true self, simply moves on. Krishna uses a beautiful analogy. He says, Just as we discard old, worn-out clothes and put on new ones, the soul casts off old, worn-out bodies and enters new ones. This cycle of birth and death is a natural journey for the soul. The soul itself is imperishable. Weapons cannot cut it, fire cannot burn it, water cannot wet it, and the wind cannot dry it. It is ancient, unbreakable, and everlasting. Understanding this fundamental truth is the first step to overcoming grief and fear. The people Arjun is afraid to kill are, in their truest essence, eternal souls, just like him. Their physical forms might perish in the battle, but their journey will continue. After addressing Arjun's immediate grief, Krishna shifts his focus to a more practical level. He reminds Arjun of his duty, his dharma, as a warrior. In the society of that time, a warrior's highest calling was to fight for righteousness, to protect the innocent, and to uphold justice. This war, Krishna explains, is not a personal squabble. It's a battle for dharma, a righteous war. To participate in such a battle is a virtuous act, a rare opportunity that opens the gates to heavenly realms. It's a chance to fulfill his purpose. On the other hand, to shrink from this duty, to run away from the battlefield, would bring nothing but dishonor and infamy. People would speak of his cowardice for generations to come. For a person of honor, Krishna says, disgrace is worse than death. He tries to motivate Arjun by appealing to his sense of honor and social responsibility, reminding him of the glory that awaits a brave warrior and the shame that follows a coward. But Krishna knows that this worldly motivation isn't enough to solve Arjun's deep spiritual crisis. So he goes deeper, introducing one of the most profound concepts in all of spiritual philosophy, the science of work, or karma yoga. This is where the teaching becomes truly transformative. Krishna says, You have a right to perform your prescribed duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your actions. Let that sink in. Do your work, fulfill your responsibilities, but do not be attached to the outcome. Don't work with the expectation of a reward, praise, or a specific result. This is the secret to freedom. This is what Krishna calls Buddhi Yoga, the yoga of the intellect. Why is this so important? Because when we are attached to the results of our work, we become entangled. If we succeed, we become proud and greedy for more. If we fail, We become angry, frustrated, and sad. We are tossed around by the dualities of life, success and failure, pleasure and pain, profit and loss. But when you work without attachment, with an even-minded intellect, you are free. You simply do your best, dedicate your actions to a higher purpose, and accept whatever comes. This transforms your actions. The very same work that would create karmic bondage now becomes a tool for liberation. It purifies the mind and leads you to a state beyond all sorrow. It's a radical shift in perspective from, "What will I get out of this?" to, "This is my duty, and I will do it to the best of my ability, without worrying about the result." Arjun naturally is intrigued. This idea of a person who is free from the ups and downs of life, who is perfectly calm and steady, sounds incredible. He asks Krishna, "What are the signs of such a person? How do they talk? How do they sit? How do they walk?" He wants to know what it looks like to be established in divine consciousness. Krishna then paints a beautiful picture of the enlightened soul, the Sthita Prajna, one whose wisdom is steady. He says that such a person is completely free from selfish desires. They find satisfaction in the self alone, not in external objects or achievements. They are undisturbed by sorrow and do not crave pleasure. They are free from the powerful trio of attachment, fear, and anger. Imagine being so centered that nothing can shake your inner peace. That's the state he is describing. An enlightened person is like a tortoise. Just as a tortoise can withdraw its limbs into its shell at the first sign of danger, a person of steady wisdom can withdraw their senses from the objects of the world. They are the masters of their senses, not their slaves. Their minds are not constantly chasing after sights, sounds, and tastes. Instead, their senses are subdued, and their mind is firmly fixed on the divine. This control doesn't come from forceful suppression, but from a higher taste, a deeper joy found within. Finally, Krishna gives a stark warning about the downward spiral that begins with uncontrolled senses. It's a chain reaction that can lead to total ruin. It all starts when we contemplate the objects of the senses. From this contemplation, attachment develops. From attachment, lust or craving arises. When that craving is not fulfilled, anger is born. From anger comes delusion, a clouding of judgment. From delusion comes a confusion of memory and a loss of reason. And when reason is lost, we perish. It's a slippery slope that starts with a simple, undisciplined thought. But the solution, as he explained, is to control the senses, to fix the mind on a higher reality, and to act in the world without attachment. By doing so, we can break this chain and find lasting peace and happiness. The path is clear. Use your intellect, perform your duty, and anchor your mind in the eternal. Thank you for listening, and I hope you'll join us as we continue to explore this timeless wisdom. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Have you ever faced a moment so overwhelming that you just wanted to give up? A moment where your heart was heavy, your eyes were filled with tears, and you felt completely lost about what to do next? This is exactly where we find Arjun, one of the greatest warriors of his time, at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita's 2nd chapter. Standing on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he looks at his own family, his cousins, teachers, and elders on the opposing side. His courage dissolves into compassion and despair. He lays down his bow and tells his divine charioteer, Lord Krishna, that he simply cannot fight. Arjun is consumed by grief. He sees no victory, only loss. He says it would be better to live by begging than to kill his own respected elders. The thought of enjoying a kingdom stained with their blood is unbearable. He's completely confused about his duty, his mind paralyzed by weakness and sorrow. He surrenders to Krishna, admitting, "I am your disciple, please instruct me. I don't know what is right. Even winning the entire world wouldn't take away this grief that's drying up my very senses." He then falls silent, declaring, "I will not fight." Imagine being Krishna in that moment. Your best friend, a powerful warrior, is having a complete breakdown right before the most important battle of his life. But Krishna doesn't get angry. He simply smiles. With all the armies watching, he begins to speak, and what he says has echoed through millennia, offering guidance to anyone feeling lost or overwhelmed. he tells Arjun, "You speak wise words, but you are grieving for something that isn't worth grieving over. The truly wise don't mourn for the living or the dead. This is the turning point." Krishna introduces a profound, game-changing idea, the nature of the soul. He explains, "There was never a time when you, I, or these kings did not exist. And there will never be a time when we cease to exist." He's not talking about our physical bodies. He's talking about the eternal, unchanging soul within each of us. Just as we pass from childhood to youth to old age in this life, the soul passes from one body to another at the time of death. A wise person understands this and isn't troubled by it. Think of it like changing clothes. When your shirt gets old and worn out, you don't mourn for the shirt, you simply put on a new one. In the same way, the soul casts off a worn-out body and takes on a new one. Krishna continues explaining that our experiences of happiness and sadness, heat and cold, are temporary. They come from our senses interacting with the world. Like seasons, they come and they go. They are not permanent. The person who can remain steady, who isn't tossed around by these fleeting feelings, is the one who becomes ready for true freedom, for liberation. He encourages Arjun to learn to tolerate these ups and downs without being disturbed. This is a powerful lesson for us. How often do we let a bad day, a critical comment, or a small failure completely ruin our peace of mind? Krishna is reminding us that these things are temporary. Our true self, the soul, is untouched by them. To make this crystal clear, Krishna describes the soul's qualities. He says that which is real and eternal never ceases to be, and that which is temporary and unreal has no lasting existence. The soul pervades our entire body, and it is indestructible. No one can destroy it. Only our material bodies are perishable. Weapons can't cut the soul, fire can't burn it, water can't wet it, and the wind can't dry it. It is unbreakable, eternal, and everywhere. It's beyond our physical senses to see or even fully comprehend. Knowing this, Krishna asks Arjun, "Why should you grieve for the body? The soul, the true self, can neither kill nor be killed. It's never born, and it never dies. It's timeless. When the body is destroyed, the soul is not. So, if someone knows the soul is eternal and unchanging, how can they think of themselves as a killer or of anyone being killed? The action is happening to the temporary body, not the eternal soul." Krishna is trying to lift Arjun's perspective from the temporary physical level to the eternal spiritual level. He's saying, "Arjun, look beyond the immediate horror of the battle. Understand the deeper reality of existence. Even if one believes that the self is constantly born and dies," Krishna argues, "there's still no reason to grieve. Why? Because death is certain for anyone who is born, and birth is certain for anyone who dies. It's an inevitable cycle. You shouldn't lament over what you cannot change. Think about it. Before we were born, we were unmanifest. We are manifest now, during our lives. And after death, we will be unmanifest again. It's a natural flow. So why all the sorrow? Krishna acknowledges that the soul is mysterious. Some see it as amazing, some describe it as amazing, and some hear about it and still don't understand it. But the core truth remains. The soul that lives within every single body is immortal. Therefore, you should not mourn for any being. After establishing this profound spiritual foundation, Krishna shifts his focus to Arjun's duty in the here and now. He reminds Arjun, "You are a kshatriya, a warrior. Your duty, your dharma, is to fight in a righteous war. There is nothing better for a warrior than this." He explains that this battle isn't for selfish gain, it's for upholding righteousness and justice. This kind of opportunity, he says, is a blessing for a warrior. It's like an open door to the higher realms. Then, Krishna presents the alternative. What happens if Arjun refuses to fight? He will be abandoning his duty and his honor. People will call him a coward for the rest of time. The great warriors who respected him will think he ran away from the battle out of fear, and he will lose all their esteem. For a person of honor, Krishna says, this kind of disgrace is worse than death itself. By refusing to fight, he wouldn't be avoiding sin, he would actually be incurring sin by failing to do his righteous duty. So, Krishna lays out a clear choice for Arjun, free from the fog of emotion. He has illuminated the path with two powerful lights. The light of eternal spiritual truth and the light of one is duty in the world. He has shown Arjun that his grief is based on a misunderstanding of who he truly is, and that his duty is calling him to act. He challenges Arjun to rise above his personal weakness and sorrow, not with brute force, but with wisdom and clarity. He calls him to fight, not out of anger or hatred, but from a place of understanding and commitment to a higher purpose. This dialogue between Krishna and Arjun is a powerful guide for all of us. When we face our own battles, whether they are internal struggles with fear and doubt, or external challenges in our relationships and careers, we can remember these lessons. We can remember to connect with our eternal nature, to rise above temporary ups and downs, and to act with courage and integrity according to our own righteous duty. The call to arise and fight is not just for Arjun on the battlefield. It's a call to each of us to face our challenges head-on, armed with wisdom and a steady heart. Thanks for watching, and if this resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights. Have you ever felt lost, torn between what you should do and what you want to do? Have you ever wondered how to find peace when the world around you is in chaos? Today, we're diving deep into some of the most powerful wisdom ever shared from the ancient text of the Bhagavad Gita. We'll explore how to find clarity, purpose, and unshakable inner peace, even when facing your toughest battles. Imagine being on a battlefield, not just a physical one, but a mental and emotional one. This is where the great warrior Arjuna finds himself. His divine guide, Krishna, tells him something profound. He says that enemies might slander you, and that hurts. But what's worse? Running away from your duty. Krishna says, if you fight, you either attain heaven through sacrifice or enjoy victory on earth. Either way you win. So, arise with determination and be prepared to fight. Now, this isn't just about physical combat. It's about facing life's challenges. Krishna introduces a revolutionary idea: fight for the sake of duty alone. Treat happiness and sadness, loss and gain, victory and defeat, all the same. You don't get tangled in the consequences of your actions. This is the path of action without attachment, what Krishna calls Buddhi Yoga, the yoga of intellect. He explains that on this path, no effort is ever wasted. The key is to have a single-pointed, resolute mind. Krishna urges us to rise above this confusion. He says to free ourselves from the dualities of life, like pleasure and pain, hot and cold, and to be fixed in the truth of our real self. Similarly, once you understand the ultimate truth, all the lesser knowledge and rituals become secondary. You've found the source. And here comes one of the most famous and often misunderstood teachings. You have a right to perform your duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your actions. This doesn't mean you shouldn't care about the outcome. It means you shouldn't let your happiness depend on it. Don't think you're the sole cause of the results, and don't just give up and do nothing. That's a trap too. The real art is to be steadfast in your work, abandoning attachment to success or failure. This perfect balance, this equanimity, is called yoga. This is the art of working skillfully. When your mind is no longer swayed by worldly temptations, when it remains steady and clear, you attain perfect yoga. They find complete satisfaction from within, in their own true self. Their mind is undisturbed by misery and doesn't chase after pleasure. They are free from attachment, fear, and anger. This is a sage of steady wisdom. They remain unattached in all situations. Their wisdom is perfect and stable. Think of a tortoise. When it senses danger, it pulls its limbs into its shell for protection. Similarly, the enlightened person can withdraw their senses from the objects that distract them, finding safety within. But here's a crucial point. You might be able to force yourself to avoid temptation, but the craving, the taste for it, can remain. However, for one who has experienced a higher, divine reality, even that subtle taste disappears. The senses are incredibly powerful. They can be like wild horses, dragging away the mind of even the wisest person. So, how do you control them? Krishna says the secret is to subdue the senses and keep the mind constantly absorbed in the divine. He then lays out the chain reaction of our downfall. It starts with simply thinking about sense objects. This contemplation leads to attachment. Attachment creates desire, the craving to possess. And when that desire is frustrated, what happens? Anger. Anger clouds your judgment. This leads to confusion and bewilderment of your memory. You forget who you are and what your purpose is. When memory is gone, your intellect is destroyed. And when your intellect is destroyed, you are completely ruined. But there is a way out. A person who has control over their mind can interact with the world using their senses, but without attachment or aversion, they are free. And through this freedom, they attain divine grace. This grace brings a profound peace that ends all sorrow. The mind becomes tranquil, and the intellect becomes firmly established in a higher consciousness. Without this self-discipline, you can't have a focused mind or steady contemplation. And without that connection to the divine, how can there be peace? And without peace, how can there be any true happiness? Our minds are like a boat on the water. If even one of our senses is allowed to roam free, like a strong wind, it can blow our intellect completely off course. Therefore, the one who has complete control over their senses is the one who is truly established in wisdom. Their perspective is totally different from an ordinary person's. What most people consider their day, the hustle and bustle of material life, is like night to the wise sage. And what seems like night to others, the inner world of introspection and self-realization, is day for the sage. Imagine the ocean. Countless rivers flow into it. But does the ocean overflow or get disturbed? No, it remains calm and full. The enlightened person is like that ocean. Desires and temptations may flow towards them from all sides, but they remain completely unmoved and at peace. Peace is not for the person who is constantly trying to satisfy their desires. So, the path to perfect peace is to give up all material desires and live free from greed, ego, and the feeling of I and mine. This is the state of the enlightened soul. Once you attain this state, you are never confused or deluded again. If you are established in this consciousness, even at the very last moment of your life, you achieve ultimate liberation. You break free from the cycle of life and death and reach the supreme, eternal abode. It starts with a single step, choosing duty over desire and seeking peace within. Thanks for watching, and if this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more wisdom to guide you on your path. Have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions, working day in and day out, and wondered, what's the point of it all? What if I told you there is a way to transform every single action you take into a powerful spiritual practice? This is the secret of karma yoga, the yoga of action, as revealed by Sri Krishna in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna begins by telling Arjuna something profound. Nobody can escape action, not even for a single moment. We are all driven by the inherent forces of nature. Whether we're eating, sleeping, working, or even just breathing, we are always acting. The real question isn't whether to act, but how. He presents 2 types of people. First, there are the hypocrites. They might look like they've renounced the world on the outside. Maybe they've given up their job or family. But internally, their minds are still constantly craving sense pleasures. They are still attached. Krishna says this kind of external show is meaningless. Then, there's the superior path, the path of the karma yogi. These are the people who continue to fulfill their worldly duties and responsibilities with diligence. They are dedicated parents, hard-working employees, and responsible citizens. But here's the key difference. Internally, they are completely unattached to the results of their actions. They work not for personal gain, fame, or reward, but as a sense of duty, as an offering. Krishna explains that we are all part of a grand cosmic cycle, a divine system. The ancient Vedas prescribe performing yajna, or sacrifices, to please the celestial beings. In return, these beings ensure the proper functioning of the natural world, blessing us with rain, which helps grow the food that sustains all life. This creates a beautiful cycle of mutual support and giving. So when we fulfill our responsibilities, we are participating in this cosmic yajna. We are contributing to the universal order. Krishna warns that those who live only for their own selfish desires, taking from the system without giving back, are living a life in vain. They break the sacred chain of existence. But he clarifies that yajna isn't just about ancient fire rituals. Any action, any duty performed as an obligation to the divine without selfish attachment becomes a form of sacrifice. When you cook a meal for your family with love and care, not expecting anything in return, that's yajna. When you perform your job with integrity and excellence, offering your skills for the greater good, that's yajna. This transforms our entire life into a sacred act. Now you might think, what about the enlightened souls, those who have already realized their true spiritual nature? Are they also bound by these duties? Krishna says, not really. The truly enlightened are not obliged to perform actions for their own sake because they find their fulfillment within the self. They are beyond the cycle of worldly needs and wants. However, and this is a crucial point, they do not abandon their duties. They continue to act, but for a different reason, to set an example for others. Imagine if a respected leader or a wise teacher suddenly stopped fulfilling their responsibilities. It would create confusion and chaos. People who look up to them might think that abandoning duty is the path to enlightenment and give up their own responsibilities prematurely. So, the wise act, without any personal motive, simply to guide humanity and maintain social harmony. Krishna gives the example of the great King Janak. He was a fully enlightened soul, yet he ruled his kingdom with perfect justice and fulfilled all his duties as a king and a father. He did this not because he needed anything from the world, but to show others the ideal way to live. This profound teaching leads Arjuna to ask a very relatable question. He asks, Krishna, why do people commit sin, even when they don't want to? It feels like some invisible force is pushing them towards it. We've all been there, right? We know what's right, but we still end up doing the wrong thing. Krishna's answer is direct and powerful. He identifies the enemy. It is lust or intense, selfish desire. He calls it the all-devouring sinful enemy of the world. This desire clouds our knowledge and deludes our intellect. He gives 3 powerful analogies to explain this. First, desire is like smoke covering a fire. The fire of our pure consciousness is always there, but desire obscures its light and warmth. The fire is still burning, but we can't see it clearly. Second, desire is like dust on a mirror. The mirror of our mind is meant to reflect our true self, our soul, but when it's covered in the dust of desire, all we see is a distorted, unclear image. We can't perceive reality as it is. Third, for the most deluded, desire is like the womb covering an embryo. The soul is completely enveloped, its true nature almost entirely hidden from view. This enemy, this desire, has its strongholds. Krishna says it resides in the senses, the mind, and the intellect. It first tempts our senses with objects of pleasure. Then it captures the mind, creating constant cravings and attachments. Finally, it hijacks the intellect, our faculty of reason, making us justify our selfish actions and rationalize our bad habits. Once the intellect is corrupted, we are completely under desire's control. So, what is the solution? How do we defeat this powerful internal enemy? Sri Krishna gives Arjuna and all of us the ultimate battle plan. He says the first step is to bring the senses under control. This doesn't mean suppressing them, but regulating them. It means being the master of your senses rather than their slave. Don't let them drag your mind wherever they please. Once the senses are controlled, you can begin to steady the mind. And with a steady mind, you can use your higher intellect to understand your true nature, which is separate from the mind and senses. The hierarchy is clear. The senses are powerful, but the mind is more powerful. The intellect is more powerful than the mind. And beyond even the intellect is the true self, the soul. By anchoring yourself in the knowledge of the soul, you can gain the strength to conquer the mind. And by conquering the mind, you can slay this enemy called desire. So, the path of Karma Yoga is a path of action, but it's intelligent, mindful, and purposeful action. It's about performing your duties without attachment, as an offering to the divine. It's about understanding the cosmic cycle you are a part of and playing your role with integrity. And most importantly, it's about waging an inner war against the one true enemy, selfish desire, by mastering your senses, mind, and intellect. By doing so, you don't just find peace and purpose in your daily life. You transform every moment into a step towards spirit. Hello, and welcome. Today we delve into the heart of a timeless dilemma: action versus inaction. This is a question that troubled the great warrior Arjun, and it's a question that many of us face in our own lives. The chapter opens with Arjun in a state of deep confusion. He turns to his divine guide, Krishna, and says, "O Janardhan, if you think knowledge is better than action, then why are you pushing me into this horrifying war? Your words seem contradictory, and my mind is completely bewildered. Please, tell me clearly one path, just one, that will lead me to the highest good. Think before you act, but also don't overthink, just do it." We, like Arjun, crave clarity. He says, "O sinless one, I've already explained that there are two primary paths. This is a profound insight. The Gita doesn't prescribe a one-size-fits-all solution. It recognizes our different temperaments and inclinations. But then Krishna adds a crucial clarification. Nor can one reach perfection simply by renouncing the world. Krishna is saying that true renunciation isn't about giving up action, but giving up the attachment to the results of that action. He says, no one can remain without action even for a single moment. Even when you're sitting still, you're breathing, your heart is beating, your mind is thinking. Krishna calls such a person a hypocrite, a self-deluded soul. Are we just putting on a show for others? Or are we genuinely working on our inner world? So, what is the superior way? Krishna presents the ideal of the karma yogi. He says, "But the one who controls the senses with the mind, this is the essence of karma yoga. To act, to engage with the world, but to do so with a controlled mind and without being attached to the outcome. Don't work anxiously for a reward, a promotion, or praise. Don't be devastated by failure or criticism. Do your duty simply because it is your duty." Krishna urges Arjun, therefore, perform your prescribed duties. Action is far superior to inaction. If you stop all activity, you won't even be able to maintain your own body. But how do we perform action without getting entangled in its results? He says that work should be performed as an offering to the divine. This transforms our entire perspective on work. Your job, your family responsibilities, your daily chores, all of it can become a sacred offering. When we work, not just for our own gain, but as a service, as a contribution to a larger cosmic order, the work itself becomes a form of meditation and a path to liberation. Krishna then explains the cosmic cycle of sacrifice. He says that in the beginning, the Creator brought forth humanity along with the principle of yajna, saying, "Prosper through this sacrifice, it will grant all your desires." This isn't just about ancient fire rituals. It's about a universal law of giving and receiving. He explains that when we perform our duties in a spirit of offering, we please the devas, the celestial beings who manage the forces of nature. In return, they provide for us, ensuring prosperity for all. It's a grand system of cosmic cooperation, and by doing so, they are freed from sin. But those who cook only for their own selfish enjoyment are said to be eating sin itself. This concept of prasad, or sanctified food, is about gratitude. It's about recognizing that everything we have is a gift from a higher source. The interconnectedness of life is beautifully laid out. All beings live on food. Food comes from rain. Our duties are prescribed in the sacred texts, the Vedas, which themselves originate from the Supreme. Therefore, the divine is eternally present in the very act of selfless service. It's a call to take our role in the world seriously, to be a contributor, not just a consumer. For the person who rejoices in the self, who is illuminated by the self, and is completely satisfied in the self, for them, there is no duty. They don't depend on anyone or anything for their happiness because they have found the ultimate joy within. This is where Krishna introduces another crucial reason for action, lokasangraha, or the welfare of the world. Krishna then says something incredibly important. You should perform your duty to set an example for the world. Whatever a great person does, others follow. Whatever standard they set, the whole world emulates. Leaders, parents, teachers, anyone in a position of influence, this is a message for you. Your actions have a ripple effect. People are watching and they are learning from your example. If you abandon your responsibilities, you risk leading others astray and contributing to social chaos. I have nothing to gain that I have not already gained. And yet I am constantly engaged in action. The worlds would fall into ruin, and I would be the cause of confusion and destruction. If God himself works, who are we to claim we are too spiritual or too enlightened to perform our duties? So chapter 3 leaves us with a powerful and practical message. Don't run from the world. Don't shirk your responsibilities. Instead, transform your action into a spiritual practice. Act with skill, with dedication, but without selfish attachment to the fruits of your labor. This is the profound wisdom of Karma Yoga. Bhagavad Gita 3:24. If I ceased to perform prescribed actions, all these worlds would perish. I would be responsible for the pandemonium that would prevail and would thereby destroy the peace of the human race. Bhagavad Gita 3:25. As ignorant people perform their duties with attachment to the results, O scion of Bharat, so should the wise act without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path. Bhagavad Gita 3:26. The wise should not create discord in the intellects of ignorant people who are attached to fruitive actions by inducing them to stop work. Rather, by performing their duties in an enlightened manner, they should inspire the ignorant also to do their prescribed duties. Bhagavad Gita 3:27. All activities are carried out by the three modes of material nature. But in ignorance, the soul, deluded by false identification with the body, thinks of itself as the doer. Bhagavad Gita 3:28. O mighty armed Arjun, illumined persons distinguish the soul as distinct from gunas and karmas. They perceive that it is only the gunas, in the shape of the senses, mind, and others, that move among the gunas, in the shape of the objects of perception, and thus they do not get entangled in them. Bhagavad Gita 3:29. Those who are deluded by the operation of the gunas become attached to the results of their actions. But the wise who understand these truths should not unsettle such ignorant people who know very little. Bhagavad Gita 3:30. Performing all works as an offering unto me, constantly meditate on me as the Supreme. Become free from desire and selfishness, and with your mental grief departed, fight. Bhagavad Gita 3:31. Those who abide by these teachings of mine, with profound faith and free from envy, are released from the bondage of karma. Bhagavad Gita 3:32. But those who find faults with my teachings, being bereft of knowledge and devoid of discrimination, they disregard these principles and bring about their own ruin. Bhagavad Gita 3:33. Even wise people act according to their natures, for all living beings are propelled by their natural tendencies. What will one gain by repression? Bhagavad Gita 3:34. The senses naturally experience attachment and aversion to the sense objects, but do not be controlled by them, for they are waylayers and foes. Bhagavad Gita 3:35. It is far better to perform one's natural prescribed duty, though tinged with faults, than to perform another's prescribed duty, though perfectly. In fact, it is preferable to die in the discharge of one's duty than to follow the path of another, which is fraught with danger. Bhagavad Gita 3:36. Arjuna asked, why is a person impelled to commit sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if by force, O descendant of Vrishni, Krishna? Bhagavad Gita 3:37. The Supreme Lord said, it is lust alone, which is born of contact with the mode of passion, and later transformed into anger. Know this as the sinful, all-devouring enemy in the world. Bhagavad Gita 3:38. Just as a fire is covered by smoke, a mirror is masked by dust, and an embryo is concealed by the womb, similarly, one's knowledge gets shrouded by desire. Bhagavad Gita 3:39. The knowledge of even the most discerning gets covered by this perpetual enemy in the form of insatiable desire, which is never satisfied and burns like fire. O son of Kunti. Bhagavad Gita 3:40. The senses, mind and intellect are said to be breeding grounds of desire. Through them it clouds one's knowledge and deludes the embodied soul. Bhagavad Gita 3:41. Therefore, O best of the Paratas, in the very beginning bring the senses under control and slay this enemy called desire, which is the embodiment of sin and destroys knowledge and realization. Bhagavad Gita 3:42. The senses are superior to the gross body, and superior to the senses is the mind. Beyond the mind is the intellect, and even beyond the intellect is the soul. Bhagavad Gita 3:43 View Commentary. Thus, knowing the soul to be superior to the material intellect, O mighty armed Arjun, subdue the lower self, senses, mind, and intellect, by the higher self, strength of the soul, and kill this formidable enemy called lust. Hello everyone, and welcome back. In our last discussion, we explored the path of selfless action, or Karma Yoga. Today, we dive into Chapter 4, where Sri Krishna adds another layer to this profound wisdom, revealing its ancient and divine origins. To bolster Arjun's confidence in the teachings, Krishna starts with a stunning revelation. He says, Arjun, because you are my devotee and my dear friend, I am sharing this supreme science with you. This isn't something new. It's the same eternal knowledge I taught to the sun god, Vivasvan, at the very beginning of creation. He explains that this knowledge was then passed down through a lineage of saintly kings, a sacred tradition that, over time, became diluted and lost. This statement immediately puzzles Arjun. He looks at Krishna, his friend, his cousin, his chariot driver, and sees someone of his own generation. Confused, he asks, Krishna, you were born just a few years before me. The sun god Vivasvan existed countless ages ago. How could you have possibly taught him anything? It's a logical question, one that many of us might ask. How can someone who appears to be a mortal man claim to have existed at the dawn of time? Here, Krishna unveils the mystery of his divine descension, his avatar. He explains, Arjun, both you and I have passed through many births. The difference is, I remember them all, but you do not. He clarifies that he is unborn, eternal, the Lord of all beings. Yet, whenever righteousness declines and unrighteousness prevails, he descends to earth in his original divine form. He does this through his own divine energy, his Yogmaya power. His purpose is to protect the righteous, vanquish the wicked, and re-establish the principles of Dharma, age after age. This is a pivotal moment. Krishna is explaining that his birth and activities are not like ours. They are completely divine, untouched by the imperfections of the material world. He stresses that anyone who truly understands the divine nature of his appearance and actions and engages in devotion with unwavering faith will not be born again into this cycle of birth and death. Instead, upon leaving their body, they will attain him. This is the ultimate liberation. Many have already achieved this state by taking refuge in him, becoming purified by knowledge and penance, and filling their minds with his divine love. Krishna also makes it clear that he reciprocates with everyone according to how they approach him. Whatever path people take, it ultimately leads to him. Whether they seek worldly rewards or spiritual liberation, he fulfills their desires. Having established the divine authority and ancient lineage of this knowledge, Krishna circles back to the topic of action, or karma. He wants to deepen Arjun's understanding of Karma Yoga. He introduces three critical concepts: karma, which is prescribed action, akarma, which is inaction, and vikarma, which is forbidden action. This is a complex subject, so subtle that even the wise are often bewildered by it. Krishna explains the paradox at the heart of enlightened action. One must see inaction in action, and action in inaction. What does this mean? It means that a karma yogi, a person who acts without attachment to the results, is in a state of inaction even while performing the most demanding tasks. They work for the sake of duty, as a service to God, without any selfish motive. Because they are detached from the fruits of their labor, they are not bound by the karmic reactions of their deeds. They have effectively transcended the law of karma. Conversely, Someone who physically does nothing but whose mind is constantly churning with desires, plans, and attachments is, in fact, always acting and accumulating karma. So, the true measure of action isn't what the body is doing, but what the mind is engaged in. Sages of the past understood this. They performed all their work as a form of yajna, or sacrifice, offered for the pleasure of the divine. They remained balanced in success and failure, joy and sorrow, because their happiness wasn't dependent on external outcomes. They were free. Krishna then expands on the concept of yajna, or sacrifice. He explains that it's not just about fire rituals. There are many kinds of sacrifices. Some sacrifice their material possessions. Some practice severe austerities. Some offer their breath in the practice of pranayama. Others offer their studies and the pursuit of knowledge as a sacrifice. All these different paths of sacrifice are born of action and lead to purification. But the greatest of all sacrifices, Krishna declares, is the sacrifice of knowledge, jnana yajna. The offering of knowledge is superior to any offering of material things, because the ultimate goal of all action is to culminate in wisdom. When a sacrifice is performed with the right knowledge and a pure heart, its remnants become like amrit, or divine nectar. Partaking in this nectar cleanses the devotee of all impurities and sins. Krishna offers a powerful assurance. He says that even if you were the most sinful of all sinners, you could cross over the ocean of material miseries by boarding this boat of transcendental knowledge. Just as a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, the fire of divine knowledge burns to ashes all reactions to material activities. There is nothing in this world as sublime and pure as this wisdom. It is the mature fruit of all spiritual practices, and one who becomes perfected in yoga enjoys this knowledge within themselves in due course of time. So, how does one acquire this life-changing knowledge? Krishna provides a clear path. He says we must approach a genuine spiritual master, a guru who has seen the truth, a God-realized soul. We should inquire from them submissively, render service to them, and with a sincere heart, ask questions. Such self-realized souls can impart knowledge to us because they have experienced the ultimate reality firsthand. Once you have received this knowledge from a true guru, Krishna tells Arjuna, you will never again fall into delusion. With this wisdom, you will see all living beings as part of the Supreme, and you will see them all within me. With these powerful words, Krishna brings the chapter to a close. He turns to Arjuna, who is still sitting in his chariot, caught in the grip of doubt and sorrow. He says, therefore, with the sword of knowledge, cut asunder the doubts that have arisen in your heart. O Arjuna, stand up and perform your duty. It's a direct command. All the philosophy, all the cosmic revelations lead to this single point. Arjuna must fight. He must fulfill his dharma as a warrior, but now with a completely transformed consciousness, acting not for personal gain or glory, but as a selfless servant of the divine, armed with the unshakable sword of knowledge. This chapter is a profound journey, from the cosmic origins of wisdom to the practical application of that wisdom in our daily lives. It teaches us that our actions, when performed with the right consciousness, can become a path to liberation. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Chapter 4. I hope it has given you as much to reflect on as it has for me. If you found this helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in our next video. Thanks for watching. Have you ever wondered about ancient wisdom, a secret knowledge passed down through generations that holds the key to a fulfilled life? This isn't just about ancient history, it's about practical wisdom that can transform how you live, work, and see the world around you. The chapter opens with a mind-bending revelation from Lord Krishna. He tells his friend and disciple Arjuna, I taught this eternal science of yoga to the sun god, Vivasvan. Imagine that. This knowledge is so ancient, it predates human history as we know it. It was a golden chain of wisdom passed from teacher to student, from king to king. But Krishna adds a somber note. He says, with the long passage of time, this science was lost to the world. This happens, doesn't it? Great truths get diluted, misinterpreted, or simply forgotten as generations pass. The pure signal gets lost in the noise of time. But here's the beautiful part. It's never truly lost forever. Why Arjun? Krishna gives two simple but profound reasons. Because you are my friend as well as my devotee. This tells us something crucial. To receive profound spiritual knowledge, you need a relationship built on love and trust. It's not a dry academic subject, it's a transmission from heart to heart. Naturally, Arjun is confused. He's a practical warrior and this sounds impossible. He asks, "You were born much after the sun god. How can I believe that you taught him this in the beginning?" It's a fair question, the kind any of us might ask. Krishna's answer unlocks one of the deepest mysteries of existence. He says, "Both you and I have had many births." Oh, think about that. We've all lived before, but the memory is wiped clean with each new life. Krishna, however, being the Supreme Lord, remembers everything. He is beyond the cycle of birth and death that binds us. He explains further, "Although I am unborn and my nature is imperishable, I appear in this world by my own divine power, my Yogmaya. He isn't forced to be born like us, bound by our past karma. He chooses to manifest, to appear in a form we can relate to, out of his own free will and compassion. But why? Why does the Supreme Being need to come to earth?" Krishna gives the most famous answer in all of Scripture. Whenever there is a decline in righteousness, and a surge in unrighteousness, O Arjun, at that time I manifest myself. He comes to restore balance. His mission is threefold: to protect the righteous, to annihilate the wicked, and to re-establish the principles of Dharma. He appears, age after age, to realign the world with truth, compassion, and justice. He is the ultimate protector of cosmic order. Now, Krishna reveals a powerful secret for liberation. Those who truly understand the divine nature of my birth and my activities, when they leave their body, they don't have to be born again. This very realization frees us from the endless cycle of rebirth. How do we gain this understanding? Krishna says, "Being free from attachment, fear, and anger, becoming fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many people in the past became purified by this knowledge and attained my divine love. The path is clear. Let go of what holds you back, your attachments, your fears, your anger. Immerse your mind in the divine, and you will be purified. This is incredibly inclusive. It doesn't matter what name you call God or what path you follow." He then addresses a common practice. In this world, people seeking quick success in their work often worship celestial gods because material rewards come quickly from them. This is about seeking temporary material gains, a promotion, wealth, success. It works, but it's short-term. It doesn't lead to the ultimate freedom we've been talking about. Next, Krishna touches upon a widely misunderstood concept, the caste system. He clarifies, "The 4 categories of occupations were created by me, according to people's qualities and activities. The original system, or Varna, was based on one's innate nature and aptitude, not birth. It was about creating a functional society where everyone contributed based on their natural skills." He also adds a paradoxical twist. "Although I am the creator of this system, know me to be the non-doer." He sets the system in motion, but remains completely detached from it, like the sun that enables all life but is unaffected by it. This leads to a crucial point about action, or karma. Krishna says, "Actions do not taint me, nor do I desire the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me is never bound by their work. The secret to freedom is to work without being attached to the results. Act because it is your duty, your nature. But don't let your happiness depend on the outcome. This isn't a new idea. Knowing this, even the ancient seekers of liberation performed actions. Therefore, you should also do your duty, following in their footsteps." Krishna encourages Arjun and us not to run away from our responsibilities, but to engage with them in a new, enlightened way. But what does that really mean? What is the right way to act? Krishna acknowledges the confusion. What is action and what is inaction? Even the wise are often confused by this. It's one of the trickiest questions in philosophy. Should we act? Should we meditate in a cave? What's the right thing to do? He promises to reveal the secret. "Now I will explain the nature of action, and by knowing it, you can free yourself from all bondage. He breaks it down into three categories we must understand: recommended action, or karma, wrong action, or vikarma, and inaction, or akarma. And here is the mind-bending secret, the core of this chapter. Those who see action in inaction and inaction in action are truly wise. Although they are engaged in all kinds of activities, they are masters of their actions. In seeing inaction in action means performing your duties in the world, working, creating, contributing, but internally remaining detached, peaceful, and unaffected by the results. You are acting, but because you have no selfish desire, it's as if you're not acting at all. You incur no karma, but whose mind is restless, full of desires, plans, and anxieties. They may look inactive, but their mind is creating karma non-stop. The truly wise person is the one who acts in the world with an inner sense of stillness and peace. Krishna says of such a person, "Their every action is free from the desire for material pleasure. They have burnt the reactions of their work in the fire of divine knowledge." These enlightened individuals have given up all attachment to the results of their work. They are always satisfied, not depending on anything or anyone outside themselves for their happiness. Krishna beautifully says, despite engaging in activities, they do not do anything at all. They are free from expectations, free from the ego sense of, I am the doer. And so they incur no sin, no negative karma, even while living a full and active life. This is the ultimate secret of this chapter. It's not about what you do, but the consciousness with which you do it. The path to freedom isn't about renouncing the world, but about renouncing the selfish ego within the world. It's about turning your work into worship, your every action into a form of yoga. By understanding and applying this timeless wisdom, we can find liberation right here, right now, in the midst of our daily lives. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through Chapter 4. I hope this brought you some clarity and inspiration. If it did, please like, share, and subscribe for more wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita. See you in the next video. Spiritual liberation. Hello and welcome back to our journey through the Bhagavad Gita. We've explored the paths of duty and devotion, and now we enter the final section, a deep dive into spiritual knowledge. Chapter 13 begins this profound exploration. The 18 chapters of the Gita are often grouped into 3 sections of 6. The first 6 chapters detailed Karma Yoga, the path of selfless action. The next 6, chapters 7 to 12, illuminated Bhakti Yoga, the path of loving devotion to God, describing His divine opulence. Now we begin the third section, which focuses on Tattvajnana, the knowledge of fundamental principles. In this chapter, Krishna introduces 2 crucial terms, Kshetra, meaning the field, and Kshetrajna, the knower of the field. At a simple level, you can think of your body as the field and your soul as the knower of that field. But the field is much more than just our physical body. It includes the mind, the intellect, the ego, and every material component that makes up our personality. Essentially, everything that isn't the soul, the pure conscious knower, is part of this field. Think of it like a farmer's plot of land. If a farmer sows paddy seeds, he can only harvest paddy, not wheat or corn. In the same way, the thoughts and actions we sow in the field of our body determine the destiny we reap. As the Buddha wisely taught, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. The great philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson echoed this, saying, "The ancestor of every action is a thought. So what we think, we become." This makes it vital to cultivate the right kinds of thoughts and actions in the field of our body. To do this, we must first learn to distinguish between the field, kshetra, and the knower of the field, kshetrajna. Krishna provides a detailed breakdown of what constitutes the field, all the material elements of our existence. He explains that the feelings and emotions that arise within this field are modifications. But he also reveals that cultivating virtues and pious qualities purifies this field, illuminating it with the light of knowledge. This very knowledge is what allows us to perceive and understand our true self, the soul, the eternal knower of the field. Then, Krishna expands our perspective. He begins to describe God, the supreme knower of the fields of all living beings. He explains that the Supreme Lord can possess seemingly contradictory attributes simultaneously. He is everywhere in his creation, yet he also resides specifically in the heart of every single being as the Supreme Soul. After outlining the Supreme Soul, the individual soul and material nature, Krishna clarifies which of these is responsible for our actions and what governs cause and effect in the universe. He says that those who can truly understand these distinctions and identify the real causes behind actions are the ones who see the ultimate truth. They are situated in genuine knowledge. They no longer degrade themselves with the illusions created by their own minds. With this clarity, they begin to perceive the presence of the Supreme Soul in every living being. They see the incredible variety of life forms, all existing within the same material nature, but they also recognize the common spiritual foundation that pervades all of existence. By attaining this profound knowledge, they achieve consciousness of the Brahman, or God realization. It is a state of true sight, seeing beyond the superficial and connecting with the divine unity in all. Thank you for joining me today. If this exploration brought you value, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights into this timeless wisdom. See you in the next video. Welcome back to our journey through the Bhagavad Gita. Today, we delve into Chapter 13, a truly profound chapter that explores the nature of reality itself. Arjun, ever the inquisitive student, asks Krishna a series of deep philosophical questions. He wants to understand the concepts of Prakriti and Purush, material nature, and the enjoyer. This chapter is Krishna's enlightening response. So, let's start with the first pair, the field and its knower. Krishna begins by saying, "O Arjun, this body is termed as kshetra, the field of activities. Think of your body as a field, a playground. It's the arena where all your experiences, actions, and thoughts take place. Everything that happens, from the sensation of a cool breeze to the complex emotions of joy and sorrow, happens within this field. And who is the one observing all of this? Krishna calls this observer the kshetrajna, the knower of the field. This is the conscious entity, the soul, that is aware of the body and everything that occurs within it. The sages who have truly seen the truth understand this fundamental distinction between the body and the consciousness that resides within it. But then Krishna reveals something even more profound. He says, "O scion of Bharat, I am also the knower of all the individual fields of activity." This is a crucial point. While each of us is the knower of our own individual body, our own field, there is a supreme knower, God himself, who is simultaneously aware of every single field, every single body, in existence. True knowledge, Krishna declares, is understanding this reality. Understanding the body as the field, and both the individual soul and God as the knowers of that field. Krishna promises to explain this in more detail. He says he'll describe what the field is, its nature, how it changes, what it's made of, who the knower is, and what his powers are. He mentions that this isn't new information. Great sages have sung about this truth for ages. It's found in various Vedic hymns and is laid out with crystal-clear logic in the Brahma Sutra. So, what exactly is this field made of? It's not just the physical body. Krishna gives us a detailed breakdown. He says the field is composed of the 5 great elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And then there's the ego, the intellect, and the unmanifest primordial matter, or Prakriti. Added to this are the 11 senses, the 5 knowledge senses like sight and hearing, the 5 working senses like hands and feet, and the mind, which coordinates them all. Finally, it includes the 5 objects of the senses, the things we see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. But the field is more than just its components. It also includes its modifications. Krishna lists desire and aversion, happiness and misery, the physical body itself, consciousness, and the will. All these feelings, states, and faculties are part of the kshetra, the field of activities. They are the ever-changing landscape of our human experience. Now that we understand the field, Krishna shifts his focus to defining true knowledge. This is one of the most practical and beautiful parts of the Gita. He gives a list of qualities that constitute knowledge. And it's not about academic learning or accumulating facts. It's about cultivating a certain kind of character, a certain way of being. He lists them: humbleness, freedom from hypocrisy, non-violence, forgiveness, and simplicity. It's about serving the guru with devotion, maintaining cleanliness of both body and mind, being steadfast, and practicing self-control. True knowledge involves being dispassionate towards sensory pleasures and letting go of the ego. It means constantly remembering the inevitable realities of life: birth, disease, old age, and death, which helps us detach from worldly things. Knowledge is also about non-attachment, not clinging excessively to our spouse, children, or home. It's about maintaining an even mind, whether things go our way or not. It's about developing constant and exclusive devotion to God, preferring solitude for spiritual practice over the noise of mundane society. Finally, it's about being constant in spiritual understanding and philosophically pursuing the absolute truth. Krishna says, all these qualities are knowledge, and everything contrary to this, that he calls ignorance. So, knowledge isn't what you know, it's who you are. It's a transformation of your entire being. Once we cultivate this knowledge, what is its purpose? Krishna says the goal of this knowledge is to know that which ought to be known, and by knowing it, we attain immortality. What is this ultimate object of knowledge? Krishna describes it as the beginningless, supreme Brahman. It is beyond our limited concepts of existence and non-existence. It's a reality that transcends all dualities. He then gives a poetic and powerful description of this supreme being. He says, everywhere are his hands and feet, eyes, heads, and faces. His ears too are in all places, for he pervades everything in the universe. This supreme reality is paradoxical. Though he perceives all sense objects, he himself is without physical senses. He is unattached to anything, yet he is the sustainer of all. He is without material attributes, yet he is the enjoyer of the three modes of material nature. He is both inside and outside all living beings, the moving and the unmoving. He is so subtle that he is incomprehensible to the material mind. He is very far away, yet he is also extremely near. He is the one indivisible truth, yet he appears to be divided among all the beings we see. He is the ultimate creator, sustainer, and annihilator of everything. He is the light in all shining things, the source of all luminescence, and he is completely beyond the darkness of ignorance. He is knowledge itself, the object of all knowledge, and the ultimate goal of all knowledge. And where does this supreme being reside? Krishna says, he dwells within the hearts of all living beings. After this breathtaking description, Krishna summarizes. He says, I have thus revealed to you the nature of the field, the meaning of knowledge, and the object of knowledge. And who can truly grasp this? Only my devotees, he says, can understand this in reality, and by doing so, they attain my divine nature. True understanding comes not just from intellectual gymnastics, but from a heart filled with devotion. Now, Krishna returns to the concepts of Prakriti and Purush, material nature and the individual soul. He explains that both are beginningless, they have always existed. All the transformations we see, the changes in the body and the influence of the three modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are all produced by material energy, or Prakriti. Prakriti is the engine of cause and effect in the material world. And what is the role of the Purush, the individual soul? Krishna states that when it comes to experiencing happiness and distress, the individual soul is the one responsible. The soul, situated within material nature, experiences the world through the senses and becomes entangled in the dualities of pleasure and pain. This chapter gives us an incredible framework for understanding ourselves and our place in the universe. We are the Kshetrajna, the conscious knower, temporarily residing in the Kshetra, the field of the body. By cultivating the qualities of true knowledge, we can begin to untangle ourselves from the modifications of this field and realize our true nature, which is one with the supreme knower, the divine reality that pervades all. Thank you so much for joining me today to explore the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 13. I hope it gives you a new lens through which to view your own life and experiences. If you found this helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights from this timeless text. See you next time. Bhagavad Gita 13:22. When the Purush, individual soul, seated in Prakriti, the material energy, desires to enjoy the three gunas, attachment to them becomes the cause of its birth in superior and inferior wombs. Bhagavad Gita 13:23. Within the body also resides the Supreme Lord. He is said to be the witness, the permitter, the supporter, transcendental enjoyer, the ultimate controller, and the Paramatma, Supreme Soul. Bhagavad Gita 13:24. Those who understand the truth about Supreme Soul, the individual soul, material nature, and the interaction of the three modes of nature will not take birth here again. They will be liberated regardless of their present condition. Bhagavad Gita 13:25. Some try to perceive the Supreme Soul within their hearts through meditation, and others try to do so through the cultivation of knowledge, while still others strive to attain that realization by the path of action. Bhagavad Gita 13:26. There are still others who are unaware of these spiritual paths, but they hear from others and begin worshipping the Supreme Lord. By such devotion to hearing from saints, they too can gradually cross over the ocean of birth and death. Bhagavad Gita 13:27. O best of the Bharatas, whatever moving or unmoving being you see in existence, know it to be a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. Bhagavad Gita 13:28. They alone truly see, who perceive the Paramatma, Supreme Soul, accompanying the soul in all beings, and who understand both to be imperishable in this perishable body. Bhagavad Gita 13:29. Those who see God as the Supreme Soul equally present everywhere and in all living beings do not degrade themselves by their mind. Thereby they reach the supreme destination. Bhagavad Gita 13:30. They alone truly see who understand that all actions of the body are performed by material nature, while the embodied soul actually does nothing. Bhagavad Gita 13:31. When they see the diverse variety of living beings situated in the same material nature and understand all of them to be born from it, they attain the realization of the Brahman. Bhagavad Gita 13:32. The Supreme Soul is imperishable, without beginning, and devoid of any material qualities, O son of Kunti. Although situated within the body, it neither acts, nor is it tainted by material energy. Bhagavad Gita 13:33. Space holds everything within it, but being subtle does not get contaminated by what it holds. Similarly, though its consciousness pervades the body, the soul is not affected by the attributes of the body. Bhagavad Gita 13:34. Just as one sun illumines the entire solar system, so does the individual soul illumine the entire body with consciousness. Bhagavad Gita 13:35. Those who perceive with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and the process of release from material nature, attain the supreme destination. Prev chapter. Last time, we delved deep into the fascinating difference between our physical body and the eternal soul. Now, let's explore where this body and all its components actually come from. Sri Krishna explains that his material energy is the very source of everything we see and feel, including our mind and all physical matter. This energy is composed of three fundamental qualities, or gunas: sattva, the mode of goodness; rajas, the mode of passion; and tamas, the mode of ignorance. Think of these as the primary colors that mix together to create the unique painting of our personality. Our body, mind, and intellect are all material, which means they are all influenced by these three modes. The specific blend of sattva, rajas, and tamas within us shapes our character. When sattva is dominant, we experience qualities like peacefulness, morality, and a sense of calm well-being. It's that feeling of clarity and contentment. Then there's rajas, the mode of passion. This mode fuels endless desires and ambitions. It's the driving force that makes us strive for worldly success, constantly chasing the next goal. People in this mode are full of energy and action. Finally, we have tamas, the mode of ignorance. This quality brings about laziness, excessive sleep, delusion, and confusion. It's a heavy, obscuring energy that can hold us back. As spiritual seekers, our journey involves navigating these three powerful forces. They are constantly at play, influencing our thoughts, actions, and emotions. The ultimate goal is to transcend all three modes and attain spiritual illumination. But how do we do that? They seem so deeply ingrained in our very being. Sri Krishna offers Arjuna a surprisingly simple yet profound solution. Attach your mind to God. He explains that the Supreme Lord himself is beyond the influence of these three gunas. Therefore, by connecting our consciousness with him, we too can rise above the material level and reach a divine state. This is a powerful idea, and it naturally makes Arjun curious. He asks, what are people like who have actually managed to rise above these three modes? How do they act? How do they live? In response, Sri Krishna paints a clear picture of these liberated souls. He says that they remain undisturbed even as they see the gunas playing out all around them. They observe the world, the situations, the people, the objects, and recognize the effects of goodness, passion, and ignorance. But they aren't swayed by them. They maintain a steady, balanced state of mind, what we call being equipoised. These enlightened individuals understand a deeper truth. Everything happening is simply a manifestation of God's energy, and ultimately, He is in control of it all. Because of this profound insight, they are unaffected by the ups and downs of life. They don't become miserable when things go wrong, nor do they get overly excited when they succeed. They remain firmly situated in their true self, unwavering and serene. They see the drama of the material world for what it is, a temporary play of energies, and they don't get lost in the performance. They are spectators, not just actors caught up in their roles. In the end, Sri Krishna emphasizes this key point again. The most powerful tool we have to overcome the influence of the three gunas is devotion. By consistently directing our hearts and minds towards the divine, we can untangle ourselves from the complex web of material nature. It's not about fighting the gunas directly, but about rising above them by focusing on a higher reality. This path of devotion has the incredible power to lift us from the grip of goodness, passion, and ignorance, and lead us to a state of true freedom and lasting peace. Hello, and welcome back to our journey through the Bhagavad Gita. Today, we're diving deep into Chapter 14, titled The Three Modes of Material Nature. Perfection. So let's explore this wisdom together. The chapter opens with Krishna declaring that he will reveal this ultimate knowledge once again. Why is it so special? Those who take refuge in this wisdom become united with the divine. They are not reborn when creation begins, nor are they affected when the universe dissolves. This is a promise of ultimate liberation, a state beyond the cosmic drama of creation and destruction. Krishna then explains the very origin of all life. He uses a powerful metaphor. He says, the total material substance, what is called Prakriti, is the womb. From this union, all living beings across all species come into existence. So for every form of life we see, from the smallest insect to the largest whale, the material nature is the mother, the womb, and Krishna, the Supreme, is the seed-giving father. Krishna tells Arjuna that the material energy is composed of three qualities: sattva, which means goodness or purity; rajas, which means passion or activity; and tamas, which means ignorance or inertia. These three modes are like invisible threads that bind the eternal, unchanging soul to the temporary, perishable body. Think of them as different lenses through which the soul experiences the material world. And Krishna describes it as being purer than the other two. It is illuminating and brings a sense of well-being and peace. However, Krishna gives a subtle warning. Even this mode of goodness can bind the soul. How? By creating an attachment to that very feeling of happiness and knowledge. One might think, I am so knowledgeable, or I am so happy. And this subtle ego, this attachment to the fruits of goodness, can still keep the soul entangled in the material world, preventing complete liberation. Next is Rajoguna, the mode of passion. This mode arises from intense worldly desires and attachments. It's the driving force behind ambition, craving, and relentless activity. When Rajas is dominant, a person is full of energy, but it's a restless energy. They are driven to achieve, to acquire, to enjoy. They engage in what are called fruitive actions, actions performed with the expectation of a specific reward, like wealth, fame, or power, and its results. It leads to a life of stress, anxiety, and endless striving, where peace is always just around the corner, but never truly arrives. Finally, we have tamoguna, the mode of ignorance. Krishna says this mode is born from darkness and is the cause of delusion for all embodied souls. It's the heaviest of the three gunas. When tamas is dominant, it manifests as negligence, laziness, and excessive sleep. It clouds a person's judgment and pulls them into a state of inertia and illusion. Under the influence of tamas, it binds the soul by trapping it in a fog of delusion and inactivity, completely obscuring its true, luminous nature. And tamas, ignorance, binds you by clouding your wisdom and locking you in delusion. It's a powerful framework for understanding our own psychology and behavior. Krishna then explains that these three modes are in a constant state of competition. They are always vying for dominance within us. It's not a static state. Sometimes sattva, the mode of goodness, prevails over passion and ignorance. In these moments, you might feel peaceful, clear, and motivated to do good. At other times, rajas' passion might take over. You might feel lazy, confused, and unmotivated, with both goodness and passion being suppressed. Our inner world is this dynamic battlefield of the gunas. Think about your own day. You might wake up feeling fresh and clear-headed. That's sattva. Then you get caught up in the stress and rush of work. That's rajas taking over. And by the end of the day, you might just want to collapse on the couch and mindlessly scroll through your phone, a classic sign of tamas. Recognizing this constant flux is the first step towards transcending it. So how can we tell which mode is dominant at any given time? Krishna provides some very clear signs. He says, when all the gates of the body, the senses like eyes, ears, and the mind, are illuminated by knowledge, you can be sure that sattva, the mode of goodness, is increasing. This is a state of clarity, alertness, and wisdom. You perceive the world correctly, you feel light, and your intellect is sharp. And what about tamas, the mode of ignorance? The signs are just as clear. When it's dominant, you'll see darkness, inertia, carelessness, and delusion. This translates to a lack of motivation, mental fog, procrastination, and a general state of confusion about life's purpose. It's that feeling of being stuck in a rut, unable to move forward. By observing our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, we can identify which of the gunas is currently influencing us the most. And that's where we'll pause for today. We've explored the origin of all beings and taken a deep dive into the three modes of material nature, sattva, rajas, and tamas, and how they influence and bind us. In our next session, we'll continue with chapter 14 to see what Krishna says about the fate of the soul after death, based on the dominant guna, and most importantly, how we can transcend these modes to attain true liberation. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of profound wisdom. I hope this gives you a new lens through which to view your own experiences. If you found this helpful, please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next part of our journey. See you next time. Ever wondered what happens after we die? Is it just a blank slate, or does something more await us? The Bhagavad Gita, in its 14th chapter, offers a fascinating perspective on this. It suggests that our state of mind at the time of death, shaped by our actions throughout life, determines our next destination. Let's dive into what Lord Krishna reveals to Arjuna. He explains that everything in this material world is influenced by three fundamental qualities, or gunas: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva is the mode of goodness, clarity, and harmony. Rajas is the mode of passion, action, and ambition. And tamas is the mode of ignorance, inertia, and delusion. Krishna says that if you die with a predominance of sattva, you ascend to the pure, luminous realms, the worlds of the wise and the learned, free from the turbulence of passion and ignorance. Imagine a state of peace and higher understanding. But what if you die when rajas is dominant? This is the world of ceaseless striving, where rest is rare and satisfaction is fleeting. It's a cycle of work, desire, and more work. And if one's final moments are clouded by tamas, the mode of ignorance, the Gita says they are born into the lower species, the animal kingdom. So, our actions and the mindset they cultivate have profound consequences. The Gita goes on to explain the results of actions performed in each mode. Actions done in sattva, or goodness, lead to pure and serene results. Think of acts of kindness, learning, and self-control. They bring an inner sense of fulfillment and clarity. Actions driven by rajas or passion ultimately result in pain. When we chase after worldly success, fame, or wealth with a burning ambition, we inevitably face stress, competition, anxiety, and the pain of loss or failure. The very nature of passionate pursuit is a roller coaster of highs and lows, and actions performed in tamas, or ignorance, they lead to more ignorance. These are actions born from laziness, confusion, or delusion. They only deepen the fog, pulling one further away from clarity and truth, trapping them in a cycle of darkness. From these three modes, specific qualities arise within us. From sattva, knowledge and wisdom blossom. When we are in a state of goodness, our minds are clear, calm, and receptive to learning and spiritual insight. From rajas comes greed. The fire of passion fuels an insatiable desire for more money, more power, more pleasure. It's a hunger that can never be truly satisfied. And from tamas, we get negligence, delusion, and inertia. Krishna reveals the path to freedom. He says that when a wise person truly sees that there is no agent of action other than these three gunas, this is a profound shift in perspective. It's realizing that the anger you feel is rajas acting, the laziness you experience is tamas, and the fleeting peace you find is sattva. By transcending these three gunas that are tied to the physical body, one can become free from the cycle of birth, death, old age, and the miseries that come with them. Arjuna, ever the practical disciple, asks a brilliant question. He says, "O Lord, how can I recognize someone who has gone beyond these three gunas? What are their characteristics? How do they act? And most importantly, how do they achieve this state?" He says that a person who has transcended the gunas is not swayed by them. They don't hate the illumination that comes from sattva, the flurry of activity from rajas, or even the delusion born of tamas when these are present, and importantly, they don't long for them when they are absent. Think about that. They are completely neutral. They remain like an impartial observer. When a wave of passion rises, they watch it without getting carried away. When a fog of inertia descends, they see it without identifying with it. They remain firmly established in their true self, unwavering and undisturbed. Krishna then gives even more specific characteristics of such an enlightened person. They are alike in happiness and distress. This doesn't mean they don't feel things. It means their inner peace isn't dependent on external circumstances. Whether life brings joy or sorrow, they remain centered. They see a clod of earth, a stone, and a piece of... The world's valuation of things doesn't sway their inner equilibrium. They remain the same, whether faced with pleasant or unpleasant events. An intelligent person like this accepts both blame and praise with equanimity. Imagine not being puffed up by compliments or crushed by criticism. That is true inner strength. They remain the same in honor and dishonor, treating both friend and foe alike. Their behavior is not dictated by how others treat them, but by their own stable, inner state. Finally, Krishna says they have abandoned all selfish enterprises. Their actions are no longer for personal gain, but are aligned with a higher purpose. So, the ultimate question remains, how do we get there? The path seems so high, the qualities so lofty. Krishna provides a direct, accessible, and powerful method. He says, "Those who serve me with unalloyed devotion rise above the three modes of material nature and come to the level of Brahman, the spiritual platform." This is the path of bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion. By focusing our love, our energy, and our service on the Supreme, we can effortlessly transcend the pull of the material modes. Devotion acts as a powerful force that lifts our consciousness above the constant push and pull of sattva, rajas, and tamas. It's like being on a ship in a stormy sea. The waves of the gunas will toss you around, but if your anchor is firmly fixed on the divine, you remain steady. To conclude this profound teaching, Krishna makes a final, monumental statement. He explains that he is the source of that immortal and imperishable spiritual reality. the foundation of eternal dharma, or righteous duty, and the origin of ultimate, unending divine bliss. In essence, Krishna reveals that the personal, loving aspect of the divine is the source of the impersonal, all-pervading spirit. By connecting with him through devotion, we are directly connecting with the source of all existence, immortality, and bliss. This is the supreme secret for transcending the material world and realizing our true, eternal nature. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. If this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights. See you next time. Shri Krishna had enlightened Arjuna in the previous chapter that by transcending the effects of the three gunas, modes of material nature, one can achieve the divine goal. He also declared that engaging in exclusive devotion is the best means of transcending beyond these gunas. Such devotion is practiced by detaching the mind from the world and attaching it to God alone. Therefore, it is essential to understand both. He has already explained the nature of God in the previous chapters. In this chapter, he explains the material world graphically, so that Arjuna can understand its nature and develop detachment from it. Sri Krishna compares the material world to an upside-down ashvath, sacred fig tree. On the branches of this mysterious tree, the embodied souls wander up and down, from lifetime after lifetime. They are unable to comprehend its origin, age, expanse, or how it continues to grow. However, as God is the source of this tree, its roots face upwards toward the sky. Its leaves are the fruitive activities defined in the Vedas. The three gunas irrigate this tree, which creates the objects of the senses that are like buds on the tree branches. These buds sprout aerial roots that further propagate this ashvath tree over a large area. By describing in detail this symbolism of the upside-down ashvath, sacred fig tree, this chapter conveys the concept of how in ignorance of this tree of material existence, the embodied souls keep growing their bondage in the material world. Sri Krishna declares that if we are searching for the Supreme Lord, then we must first cut this tree of material existence with the axe of detachment. Then we must look for its base, because the Supreme Lord himself is the source of the material world as well. Once we find the source and surrender to him, as advised in this chapter, we will reach the abode of God forever and never return to this material world. Sri Krishna then explains that, as the souls are also his eternal fragments, they too are divine. However, they are under the influence of material nature. Thus, struggle with their six senses, including the mind. The embodied soul, ignorant of its divine nature, savors the material objects of the senses. He then describes the transmigration of the soul to a new body at the time of death and how it carries with it the mind and senses. From the present and previous lives, the ignorant can neither perceive the presence of the soul in the body when alive nor its departure upon death. However, the yogis see this process clearly with the eyes of knowledge and purity of their minds. Similarly, God is everywhere in his creation. One needs to use the eyes of knowledge to realize his presence. Lord Krishna reveals that by recognizing the glories of God that shine forth all around us in this world, we can realize his existence. At the end of this chapter, he explains the terms Kshar, Akshar, and Purushottam. Kshar are the perishable beings residing in the material world. The liberated beings who live in the abode of God are called Akshar. The Supreme Divine Personality, who is the eternal source, sustainer, and regulator of the entire world, is called Purushottam, or God. He is transcendental to both imperishable and perishable beings. Therefore, we must worship God with complete surrender. In Bhagavad Gita 15.1. The Supreme Divine Personality said, "They speak of an eternal ashvath tree with its roots above and branches below. Its leaves are the Vedic hymns, and one who knows the secret of this tree is the knower of the Vedas." Bhagavad Gita 15.2. The branches of the tree extend upward and downward, nourished by the three gunas, with the objects of the senses as tender buds. The roots of the tree hang downward, causing the flow of karma in the human form. Below, its roots branch out, causing karmic actions in the world of humans. Bhagavad Gita 15.3, 15.4. The real form of this tree is not perceived in this world, neither its beginning nor end, nor its continued existence. But this deep-rooted Ashvath tree must be cut down with a strong axe of detachment. Then one must search out the base of the tree, which is the Supreme Lord, from whom streamed forth the activity of the universe a long time ago. Upon taking refuge in him, one will not return to this world again. Bhagavad Gita 15:5. Those who are free from vanity and delusion, who have overcome the evil of attachment, who dwell constantly on the self and on God, who are free from the desire to enjoy the senses, and are beyond the dualities of pleasure and pain, such liberated personalities attain my eternal abode. Bhagavad Gita 15:6. Neither the sun nor the moon, nor fire can illumine that supreme abode of mine. Having gone there, one does not return to this material world again. Bhagavad Gita 15:7. The embodied souls in this material world are my eternal fragmental parts, but bound by material nature, they are struggling with the six senses, including the mind. Bhagavad Gita 15:8. As the air carries fragrance from place to place, so does the embodied soul carry the mind, and senses with it when it leaves an old body and enters a new one. Bhagavad Gita 15.9. Using the sense perceptions of the ears, eyes, skin, tongue, and nose, which are grouped around the mind, the embodied soul savors the objects of the senses. Bhagavad Gita 15.10. The ignorant do not perceive the soul as it resides in the body, and as it enjoys sense objects, nor do they perceive it when it departs. But those who possess the eyes of knowledge can behold it. Bhagavad Gita 15:11. Striving yogis, too, are able to realize the soul enshrined in the body. However, those whose minds are not purified cannot cognize it, even though they strive to do so. Bhagavad Gita 15:12. Know that I am like the brilliance of the sun that illuminates the entire solar system. The radiance of the moon and the brightness of the fire also come from me. Bhagavad Gita 15:13. Permeating the earth, I nourish all living beings with my energy. Becoming the moon, I nourish all plants with the juice of life. Bhagavad Gita 15:14. It is I who take the form of the fire of digestion in the stomachs of all living beings, and combine with the incoming and outgoing breaths to digest and assimilate the four kinds of foods. Bhagavad Gita 15:15. I am seated in the hearts of all living beings, and from me come memory, knowledge, as well as forgetfulness. I alone am to be known by all the Vedas, am the author of the Vedant and the knower of the meaning of the Vedas. Bhagavad Gita 15:16. There are two kinds of beings in creation, the Kshar, perishable, and the Akshar, imperishable. The perishable are all beings in the material realm. The imperishable are the liberated beings. Bhagavad Gita 15:17. Besides these is the Supreme Divine Personality, who is the indestructible Supreme Soul. He enters the three worlds as the unchanging controller and supports all living beings. Bhagavad Gita 15:18. I am transcendental to the perishable world of matter and even to the imperishable soul. Hence I am celebrated, both in the Vedas and the Smritis, as the Supreme Divine Personality. Bhagavad Gita 15:19. Those who know me without doubt as the Supreme Divine Personality truly have complete knowledge. O Arjun, they worship me with their whole being. Bhagavad Gita 15:20. I have shared this most secret principle of the Vedic scriptures with you, O sinless Arjun. By understanding this, a person becomes enlightened and fulfills all that is to be accomplished. This chapter expounds on the two kinds of human nature, the saintly and the demoniac. Sri Krishna explains that the saintly nature develops in humans by cultivating the modes of goodness, by following the instructions given in the scriptures, and purifying the mind with spiritual practices. Such behavior attracts Daiv Sampati, or godlike qualities, eventually leading to God realization. Contrary to this, the demoniac nature develops by associating with modes of passion and ignorance and materially focused lifestyles that breed unwholesome traits in human personality. This leads the soul finally to a hell-like existence. Sri Krishna enumerates the saintly virtues of those endowed with a divine nature and then describes the demoniac qualities that should be shunned consciously, else these will drag the soul further into ignorance and samsara, or the cycle of life and death. In the end, Sri Krishna declares that the knowledge of the scriptures helps in overcoming ignorance and passion. They also guide us to make the right choices in life. Therefore, we must understand their teachings and injunctions and accordingly perform our actions in this world. Today we're diving deep into one of the most profound chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, titled The Divine and Demonic Natures. This chapter gives us a crystal-clear roadmap, a spiritual checklist, if you will, to understand the forces at play within ourselves and in the world around us. It's not just ancient philosophy, it's a practical guide for modern life. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's explore this together. Krishna begins by speaking to Arjuna, calling him a scion of Bharat, which is a title of great respect, acknowledging his noble lineage. He then lays out the qualities of those who are born with a divine nature, the qualities that lead us towards spiritual freedom and enlightenment. This isn't just a random list, it's a blueprint for a virtuous and fulfilling life. First up is fearlessness. This isn't about being reckless or having no fear at all. It's about a deep-seated courage that comes from trusting in a higher power and understanding our true, eternal nature. When you know you are more than just this temporary body, worldly fears start to lose their grip. Next is purity of mind. This means cultivating a clean heart, free from negativity, envy, and ill will. It's about consciously choosing thoughts that are positive and uplifting. Then comes steadfastness in spiritual knowledge. This is the commitment to learning and applying spiritual truths in our daily lives, making our quest for knowledge a firm foundation, not just a casual hobby. Krishna then mentions charity, which is more than just giving money. It's about a generous spirit, sharing what we have, be it resources, time, or knowledge, without expecting anything in return. This is followed by control of the senses. Our senses are like wild horses, constantly pulling us in different directions. The divine person learns to be the master of these senses, not their slave, guiding them toward wholesome activities. Then we have sacrifice. In this context, it refers to performing our duties and actions as an offering to the divine, without attachment to the results. It's about selfless service. Next, study of the sacred books. This is about engaging with wisdom literature, like the Gita itself, to nourish our intellect and spirit. Austerity and straightforwardness follow. Austerity means practicing self-discipline, willingly undertaking some discomfort for a higher spiritual purpose. Straightforwardness is about being honest and direct in our dealings, with no hidden agendas or deceit. It's about integrity. Krishna continues with a list of virtues that are just as crucial. Non-violence, or ahimsa, is a cornerstone. It means not causing harm to any living being in thought, word, or deed. Then truthfulness, speaking the truth in a way that is beneficial and not hurtful. This is balanced by the absence of anger. A person of divine nature understands that anger is a destructive fire that burns the one who holds it. They cultivate patience and calm instead. Next are renunciation and peacefulness. Renunciation doesn't mean giving up the world and running to a cave. It means giving up the ego and the selfish desire for personal gain. This naturally leads to a state of inner peace, a tranquility that isn't disturbed by the ups and downs of life. Then comes restraint from fault-finding. How often do we find ourselves gossiping or criticizing others? The divine person avoids this. They look for the good in others and focus on their own improvement. This is tied to compassion for all living beings. Recognizing the divine spark in everyone and everything, they feel a natural empathy and kindness toward all. Absence of covetousness is another key quality. This is freedom from greed and the constant desire for more. It's about contentment with what we have. This is paired with gentleness, modesty, and a lack of fickleness. Gentleness is a soft and kind demeanor. Modesty is humility, the absence of arrogance. And lack of fickleness means having a steady, determined mind that isn't easily swayed or distracted from its purpose. Finally, Krishna lists vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, and cleanliness. Vigor is spiritual and mental strength. Forgiveness is the ability to let go of grudges and resentment, which liberates us from heavy emotional baggage. Fortitude is resilience, the ability to remain strong and patient in the face of adversity. Cleanliness refers to both external hygiene and internal purity of thought and intention. The list concludes with bearing enmity toward none, and the absence of vanity, not seeing anyone as an enemy, and not being puffed up with pride about one's own accomplishments. So, take a moment and reflect on this incredible list. These 26 qualities are the markers of a divine nature. They aren't impossible ideals, they are virtues we can all cultivate, step by step, day by day. Now, after painting this beautiful picture of the divine, Krishna shifts gears to describe the opposite, the demoniac nature. He says, "O Parth, the qualities of those who possess a demoniac nature are hypocrisy, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance." Let's break these down. Hypocrisy is pretending to be virtuous while harboring impure motives. Arrogance and conceit are expressions of an overinflated ego, looking down on others and feeling superior. Anger, as we saw, is a destructive force, but here it's a defining characteristic. Harshness means using cruel words and actions, and ignorance here isn't just a lack of information. It's a deep spiritual blindness, a refusal to see the truth. Krishna then makes a very important statement. He says, "The divine qualities lead to liberation, while the demoniac qualities are the cause for a continuing destiny of bondage." It's a clear choice, with clear consequences. One path leads to freedom, the other to entanglement and suffering. Seeing the look of concern on Arjuna's face, Krishna reassures him, saying, "Grieve not, O Arjun, as you were born with saintly virtues." This is a beautiful moment of encouragement, a reminder that we all have that divine spark within us. Krishna explains that there are fundamentally two kinds of beings in this world, the divine and the demoniac. Having already detailed the divine, he now promises to explain the demoniac nature further so we can recognize it and steer clear of its influence. He says that those with a demoniac nature don't understand what is right and what is wrong. They have no concept of proper conduct. Purity, good behavior, and truthfulness are completely absent from their lives. Their moral compass is broken. What is their worldview? Krishna explains it vividly. They say, "The world is without absolute truth, without any basis for moral order, and without a God who has created or is controlling it. They believe the world is just a random accident, born from physical union, with no higher purpose than sensory pleasure. This is a purely materialistic and nihilistic viewpoint. It denies any spiritual dimension to existence." Holding on to these misguided views, Krishna says, "These people with small intellects engage in cruel and harmful actions. They become enemies of the world, their actions threatening to bring about destruction." Think about it. If you believe there's no God, no karma, no higher purpose, then what stops you from doing whatever you want for your own gratification, even at the expense of others and the planet? Krishna goes on to describe their inner state. He says they are driven by insatiable lust. They are full of hypocrisy, pride, and arrogance. They cling to false beliefs because it suits their lifestyle. Trapped in this illusion, they are constantly chasing temporary, fleeting pleasures and work with impure motives. Their entire lives are built on a foundation of falsehood and a relentless pursuit of self-gratification. This chapter is a powerful mirror. It asks us to look honestly at ourselves. Which qualities do we see more of in our own thoughts and actions? Are we leaning toward the divine or the demoniac? It's not about judging ourselves or others as good or bad. It's about awareness. The path of the Gita is a path of transformation. By understanding these two natures, we are empowered to consciously choose the divine path. We can actively cultivate virtues like fearlessness, compassion, and truthfulness, and consciously weed out arrogance, anger, and hypocrisy from our hearts. The choice, as always, is ours. Krishna lays out the map, but we have to walk the path. And he reminds us, with his comforting words to Arjuna, that we are born for this. We have the inherent capacity for divinity. We just need to awaken it. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into Chapter 16. I hope it has given you some valuable insights for your own spiritual journey. If you found this helpful, please give the video a like and don't forget to subscribe for more explorations into the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Which divine quality are you focusing on cultivating right now? I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care and stay inspired. In Bhagavad Gita 16:11. They are obsessed with endless anxieties that end only with death. Still, they maintain with complete assurance that gratification of desires and accumulation of wealth is the highest purpose of life. Bhagavad Gita 16:12. Held in bondage by hundreds of desires and driven by lust and anger, they strive to accumulate wealth by unjust means, all for the gratification of their senses. In Bhagavad Gita 16:13, 16:15. The demoniac persons think, I have gained so much wealth today, and I shall now fulfill this desire of mine. This is mine, and tomorrow I shall have even more. That enemy has been destroyed by me, and I shall destroy the others too. I am like God himself. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, I am powerful, and I am happy. I am wealthy, and I have highly placed relatives. Who else is equal to me? I shall perform sacrifices to the celestial gods. I shall give alms. I shall rejoice. In this way, they are deluded by ignorance. Bhagavad Gita 16:16. Possessed and led astray by such imaginings, enveloped in a mesh of delusion and addicted to the gratification of sensuous pleasures, they descend to the murkiest hell. Bhagavad Gita 16:17. Such self-conceited and stubborn people, full of pride and arrogant in their wealth, perform ostentatious sacrifices in name only, with no regard to the rules of the scriptures. Bhagavad Gita 16:18. Blinded by egotism, strength, arrogance, desire, and anger, the demonic abuse me, who am present in their own body and in the bodies of others. Bhagavad Gita 16:19, 16:20. These cruel and hateful persons, the vile and vicious of humankind, I constantly hurl into the wombs of those with similar demoniac natures, in the cycle of rebirth in the material world. These ignorant souls take birth again and again in demoniac wombs. Failing to reach me, O Arjun, they gradually sink to the most abominable type of existence. Bhagavad Gita 16:21. There are 3 gates leading to the hell of self-destruction for the soul: lust, anger, and greed. Therefore one should abandon all 3. Bhagavad Gita 16:22. Those who are free from the 3 gates to darkness endeavor for the welfare of their soul, and thereby attain the supreme goal. Bhagavad Gita 16:23. Those who act under the impulse of desire, discarding the injunctions of the scriptures, attain neither perfection, nor happiness, nor the supreme goal in life. Bhagavad Gita 16:24. Therefore, let the scriptures be your authority in determining what should be done and what should not be done. Understand the scriptural injunctions and teachings, and then perform your actions in this world accordingly. Have you ever wondered why people are so different? Why some are calm and peaceful, while others are restless and driven, and some just seem lost in confusion? The Bhagavad Gita, in its 17th chapter, offers a fascinating answer, and it all boils down to one thing: faith. Sri Krishna explains that faith, or Shraddha, is a fundamental part of who we are. Everyone has faith in something. The real question is, what kind of faith do you have? He reveals that our faith isn't just a random belief, it's colored by the 3 modes of material nature, the gunas, that we learned about earlier. There's sattvic faith, which is pure and leads to knowledge; rajasic faith, which is driven by passion and desire; and tamasic faith, which is rooted in ignorance and darkness. The type of faith you hold determines everything about your life. It influences the kind of worship you're drawn to, the goals you pursue, and even the food you eat. That's right. Krishna even breaks down food into 3 categories. Sattvic foods, like fresh fruits, vegetables, and grains, promote health, happiness, and longevity. Rajasic foods, which are overly spicy, salty, or bitter, cause discomfort and disease. And tamasic foods, like stale, tasteless, or impure items, lead to laziness and mental fog. Think about your own diet. Which category does it fall into? It's a powerful reflection of your inner state, but it doesn't stop with food. Krishna applies this 3-fold division to our actions as well, specifically to sacrifice, austerity, and charity. Let's talk about sacrifice, or yajna. A sattvic sacrifice is performed without any expectation of reward, simply as a matter of duty, following the scriptures. A rajasic sacrifice, on the other hand, is done for show, to gain respect, fame, or some material benefit, and a tamasic sacrifice. That's one performed with no regard for the rules, without faith, and with no noble intention. Then there's austerity, or tapa. Krishna describes three kinds: austerity of the body, speech, and mind. Austerity of the body means cleanliness, simplicity, and non-violence. Austerity of speech is speaking truthfully, kindly, and in a way that doesn't agitate others. And austerity of the mind involves serenity, self-control, and purity of thought. When these are practiced with sincere faith and no desire for personal gain, they are sattvic. When done out of pride, to gain honor and respect, they become rajasic. And when performed foolishly, out of stubbornness, or with the intent to harm oneself or others, they are purely tamasic. The same principle applies to charity, or dan. Giving to a worthy person, at the right time and place, without expecting anything in return, that's sattvic charity. Giving reluctantly, or with the hope of getting something back, or for some future reward, that's rajasic. And giving to an unworthy person, at the wrong place and time, with disrespect and contempt, that is tamasic charity. By understanding these distinctions, we can start to see our own actions more clearly and consciously choose the path of goodness. So, how do we elevate our actions and make them truly pure and beneficial? Krishna gives us a powerful, mystical formula. The words Om Tat Sat. These three words are profoundly significant. Om represents the ultimate, impersonal reality, the sound vibration of the absolute truth. When you begin a spiritual act by chanting Om, you are connecting your action to the divine source. Tat, which means that, is used to signify that everything we do is for God. By mentally offering our actions with the word Tat, we perform them without attachment to the results, dedicating them to the Supreme. It's about selfless service. And Sat means eternal, goodness, and reality. It's used to describe actions that are virtuous and in harmony with the truth. An act of sacrifice, austerity, or charity performed with a pure heart is Sat. Together, Om Tat Sat is a complete spiritual formula. It's a way to transform any action into a sacred offering, purifying our intentions and connecting us to the divine. Krishna concludes with a crucial warning. Any act of sacrifice, austerity, or charity performed without faith, without following the guidance of wisdom, and without this divine connection of Om Tat Sat, is ultimately useless. It's considered asat, or unreal. It brings no benefit in this life or the next. This chapter is a practical guide to spiritual living. It's not just about abstract philosophy. It's about looking at our daily choices, what we eat, how we act, what we give, and aligning them with a higher purpose. It's about cultivating sattvic faith, so our entire life becomes an expression of purity, knowledge, and devotion. Thank you so much for watching. If this exploration of faith resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe for more wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita. Let us know in the comments which part of this chapter stood out to you the most. See you next time. Have you ever wondered about the nature of faith? Not just religious faith, but the underlying belief system that guides everything we do, from the food we eat to the goals we pursue. Arjuna, the great warrior, had a similar question for Krishna. He asked, "What about those who worship with faith but don't follow the ancient scriptures? Where do they stand? Are they good, passionate, or just ignorant?" Krishna's answer is profound and incredibly relevant to our lives today. He explains that faith isn't something you simply choose. It's an innate part of who we are, woven into the very fabric of our being. And this faith comes in three flavors, three modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. He says, whatever the nature of their faith, that is verily what they are. Your faith literally defines you. Let's break this down. Krishna starts by explaining how our faith manifests in who we choose to worship or look up to. Those in the mode of goodness, or sattva, are drawn to the divine, the celestial, the forces of light and wisdom. They seek elevation, knowledge, and purity. Think of people who admire great spiritual leaders, scientists who expand our understanding, or artists who create beauty that uplifts the soul. Then there are those in the mode of passion, or rajas. Their faith is directed towards powerful, worldly figures, the movers and shakers, the wealthy, the famous. They worship power, success, and material gain. Their focus is on achieving and acquiring in this world. This isn't inherently bad, but it's driven by ambition and desire for personal glory. Finally, we have the mode of ignorance, or tamas. People in this mode are drawn to the dark and the mysterious, ghosts, spirits, and darker forces. Their worship is often rooted in fear, superstition, and a desire to control others through unconventional or even harmful means. They are attracted to what is chaotic and destructive, so your faith is a mirror to your inner nature. But Krishna takes it a step further. He warns about a dangerous pitfall: hypocrisy. Some people perform extreme practices, not out of genuine devotion, but from ego and a desire to show off. Driven by desire and attachment, they push their bodies to the limit, causing harm not only to themselves, but also to the divine spark that resides within every living being. Krishna calls these people senseless, with a demoniac resolve. It's a powerful reminder that the intention behind our actions is what truly matters. True spiritual practice isn't about extreme, showy acts. It's about a sincere and humble heart. Now this is where it gets really interesting and practical. Krishna says that these three modes of nature don't just influence our beliefs, they influence our everyday choices, starting with the food on our plate. Yes, you heard that right. What you eat is a direct reflection of your inner state. Let's talk about food in the mode of goodness. These are foods that promote a long life, increase our energy, strength, health, and happiness. Think fresh, juicy, nourishing foods. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and dairy. They are naturally tasty and satisfying. They don't just fill your stomach, they build your vitality and clarify your mind. When you eat these foods, you feel light, energetic, and positive. Next, the food of passion. These are foods that are extreme in taste, too bitter, too sour, excessively salty, or fiery hot. Think spicy curries, heavily salted snacks, or sour pickles. While they might give a temporary jolt of pleasure, Krishna says they ultimately lead to pain, grief, and disease. They agitate the mind and body, leading to restlessness and craving. They fuel the fire of ambition and desire, but can burn you out in the process. And finally, food in the mode of ignorance. This is the stuff you probably already know you should avoid. Food that is old, stale, left over for too long, rotten or impure. This includes overly processed foods, things that are essentially dead and lacking in life force. Eating this kind of food creates dullness, lethargy, and confusion. It clouds the mind and weighs down the body, pulling us further into a state of inertia and ignorance. So the next time you're at the grocery store, think about it. Are you choosing foods that will lift you up, agitate you, or drag you down? Your plate is a reflection of your consciousness. This concept of the three modes extends beyond food. It applies to our actions, specifically our sacrifices, austerities, and acts of charity. Let's start with sacrifice. In the context of the Gita, sacrifice means any action performed as an offering, a duty, without attachment to the outcome. A sacrifice, in the mode of goodness, is one performed according to guiding principles, simply because it is the right thing to do. There's no expectation of getting something in return. It's a pure offering, done with a clear and focused mind. For example, volunteering your time for a cause you believe in, without seeking recognition or reward. This kind of action purifies the heart and elevates the soul. Then we have sacrifice in the mode of passion. This is action with an ulterior motive. It's done for material benefit, for fame, or out of pride. Imagine someone making a large public donation, but their primary goal is to have their name on a building or to get a tax break. The act itself might be good, but the selfish intention taints it, binding the person further to the cycle of desire and reward. It's transactional, not transformational. Lastly, there's sacrifice in the mode of ignorance. This is an action that goes against all good sense and sacred guidance. It's performed without faith, without proper procedure, without any offering of food or chanting of mantras, and without giving to others. It's a hollow, meaningless ritual. Think of someone going through the motions of a tradition they don't believe in, with a resentful heart. This kind of action yields no spiritual benefit and only deepens confusion. Now let's look at austerity, or self-discipline. This isn't about self-torture. It's about training the body, speech, and mind. Krishna provides a beautiful and practical guide. Austerity of the body is about how we act in the world. It involves showing reverence to the wise, the elders, and the divine. It means practicing cleanliness, living simply, maintaining self-control, and most importantly, practicing non-violence towards all beings. This isn't just about not physically harming others. It's about creating a presence that is peaceful and safe for everyone around you. It's a discipline that transforms your physical existence into an act of worship. So, let's recap this incredible chapter. Our innate faith shapes our reality. It determines who we admire, what we eat, and how we act. The three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are constantly influencing our choices. The path of goodness, or sattva, leads to clarity, health, and liberation. It's about choosing fresh, life-giving foods, performing actions as a selfless duty, and disciplining the body with cleanliness, simplicity, and non-violence. The path of passion, rajas, leads to temporary pleasure but ultimate pain, driven by ego and desire. And the path of ignorance, tamas, leads to dullness, confusion, and degradation. The message of the Gita is not one of judgment, but of awareness. It's a roadmap. By understanding these three modes, we can start to consciously choose the path of goodness. We can choose foods that nourish us, actions that purify us, and a lifestyle that elevates us. It all begins with a simple question. What is the nature of my faith? And what choices can I make today, right now, to align myself with a higher, more joyful, and more authentic way of being? Thank you for joining me on this journey through the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. If this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights. See you in the next video. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our journey through the timeless wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. Today we're diving deep into chapter 17, picking up from verse 15. We'll explore a fascinating concept, the different types of austerity and charity, and what truly makes our actions meaningful. So, grab a cup of tea, find a comfortable spot, and let's explore together. Last time, we talked about the three types of faith. Now, Krishna expands on this by explaining the three types of austerity, or tapasya. He breaks it down into austerity of speech, mind, and body. Let's start with speech, as described in verse 15. Krishna says that words that don't cause distress, are truthful, pleasant, and beneficial are a form of austerity. This isn't just about not lying. It's about communicating with kindness and purpose. Think about it. How often do we speak without thinking, maybe causing unintentional hurt, or just filling the silence with noise? The Gita encourages us to use our words deliberately, to uplift and to help. It also mentions the regular recitation of scriptures as part of this austerity. This practice helps to purify our speech and align our thoughts with higher wisdom. It's about making our words a source of positive energy, not conflict. Next, in verse 16, Krishna describes the austerity of the mind. This is about cultivating serenity, gentleness, silence, self-control, and purity of heart. Our minds can be like a chaotic marketplace, with thoughts constantly coming and going. The austerity of the mind is the practice of calming this chaos. It's about choosing gentleness over aggression, inner silence over mental chatter, and self-control over impulsive reactions. Purity of purpose means ensuring our intentions are clean and not driven by selfishness or malice. This internal discipline is often the hardest to master, but it's the foundation for true peace. So, we have austerities of the body, which we discussed earlier, plus speech and mind. Now, in verse 17, Krishna ties it all together by explaining what makes these practices truly powerful. He says that when these three forms of austerity are practiced with strong faith and without expecting any personal gain, they are considered to be in the mode of goodness, or sattvich. the motivation is key. Are we doing it for the right reasons? Are we practicing self-control to grow spiritually? Or are we doing it to show off? This brings us to the other modes. Verse 18 describes austerity in the mode of passion, or rajasic. This is when practices are performed for show, to gain respect, honor, or adoration from others. Imagine someone fasting loudly, making sure everyone knows about their great sacrifice. Or someone who only speaks kindly to people they want to impress. According to the Gita, any benefits from such actions are unstable and temporary. The validation we get from others is fleeting. True spiritual progress comes from inner sincerity, not external praise. Then, in verse 19, we have austerity in the mode of ignorance, or tamasic. This is the most misguided of all. It involves practices born from foolish ideas, often leading to self-torture or harming others. This could be extreme, unnecessary self-denial that damages the body, or actions done out of stubbornness or a desire to hurt someone. It's austerity without wisdom, and it serves no positive purpose. It's a reminder that not all discipline is good discipline. The intention and understanding behind it are what matter. This same threefold division, goodness, passion, and ignorance, also applies to another crucial aspect of life: charity or dana. Let's see what Krishna says, starting with verse 20. Charity in the mode of goodness is giving to a worthy person at the right time and place, simply because it is the right thing to do, with no expectation of anything in return. It's pure, selfless giving. You see a need and you help fill it. You give because your heart tells you to, not because you're thinking about tax benefits or what the person can do for you later. This is the highest form of charity, motivated by empathy and a sense of duty. Verse 21 moves on to charity in the mode of passion. This is giving with reluctance or with the hope of getting something back. Maybe you give to a cause because it will look good on your resume, or you donate to a temple, hoping for a specific blessing in return. The act of giving is there, but it's tainted by a transactional mindset. The focus is on the self, on the potential reward, rather than on the act of giving itself. And finally, verse 22 describes charity in the mode of ignorance. This is giving at the wrong time or place to an unworthy person, and doing so without respect or even with contempt. Imagine tossing a coin at someone with a disdainful look, or giving something that is useless or harmful. This kind of giving lacks any real compassion. It might even be done to get rid of something or someone. It is an act devoid of positive intent and is considered to be of the nature of nescience or darkness. So, after explaining the different qualities of faith, food, austerity, and charity, Krishna now reveals a universal spiritual formula. He introduces three very special words: Om Tat Sat. In verse 23, he explains that these three words have been used since the beginning of creation to represent the supreme absolute truth. Priests, scriptures, and sacrifices all originate from this sacred sound. These words are not just sounds, they are potent symbols that can elevate our actions. Let's break them down. First, Om. In verse 24, Krishna explains that followers of the Vedas always begin their sacrifices, charities, and austerities by uttering Om. Om represents the impersonal, all-pervading aspect of the Absolute. By chanting Om, we are acknowledging that our actions are part of a larger, divine, cosmic order. It sanctifies the act, connecting our individual effort to the universal whole. It is like a spiritual invocation that sets the right intention and acknowledges the source of all existence. Next comes Tat. Verse 25 explains that those who seek liberation from the material world, who perform these actions without desiring any personal reward, utter the word Tat. Tat literally means that. It refers to the Supreme, reminding us that everything belongs to that ultimate reality. When we perform an act of charity or sacrifice and mentally say Tat, we are offering the results of our actions to the Supreme. It's a profound act of non-attachment, reinforcing the idea that we are not the ultimate doers or enjoyers, but instruments of a higher will. Finally, we have Sat. Verses 26 and 27 beautifully explain the meaning of Sat. It means eternal reality and goodness. It's used to describe an auspicious and virtuous action. When an act of sacrifice, penance, or charity is performed with sincerity and devotion, that act itself becomes sat. It means the action is aligned with truth and goodness. So, any work done for the sake of the Supreme is also called sat. This word consecrates the action, affirming its spiritual value and its connection to the eternal. So, we have Om, which sanctifies the beginning of the act, Tat, which detaches us from the results by offering them to the Supreme, and Sat, which confirms the auspicious and real nature of the act itself. Together, Om Tat Sat is a complete formula for spiritualizing our actions. It transforms a mundane act into a sacred offering. But what happens if this key ingredient is missing? Krishna concludes the chapter with a powerful warning in verse 28. He says that any sacrifice, charity, or penance performed without faith, without this connection to the Supreme represented by Om Tat Sat, is called asat. Asat means unreal or temporary. Such actions, he states, are useless both in this life and in the next. They might produce some temporary material result, but they have no lasting spiritual value. They don't help us grow or move closer to the ultimate truth. Faith is the essential element that gives our actions meaning and power. Without it, our efforts are like planting seeds in barren sand. This chapter gives us such practical tools for self-reflection. It asks us to look at not just what we do, but why we do it. Are our words kind and truthful? Is our mind at peace? Are we practicing discipline for show or for genuine growth? When we give, is it from a place of love or from a desire for a return? By applying the filter of the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, we can start to purify our intentions and elevate our actions. And by using the sacred formula of Om Tat Sat, we can consciously dedicate every action to a higher purpose, turning our entire life into a spiritual practice. Bhagavad Gita 18:1. Arjun said, O mighty armed Krishna, I wish to understand the nature of sannyas, renunciation of actions, and tyag, renunciation of desire for the fruits of actions. O Hrishikesh, I also wish to know the distinction between the two. O Keshini Sudan. Bhagavad Gita 18:2. The Supreme Divine Personality said, Giving up of actions motivated by desire is what the learned understand as sannyas. Relinquishing the fruits of all actions is what the wise declare to be tyag. Bhagavad Gita 18:3. Some learned people declare that all kinds of actions should be given up as evil, while others maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned. In Bhagavad Gita 18:4. Now hear my conclusion on the subject of renunciation, O tiger amongst men, for renunciation has been declared to be of three kinds. Bhagavad Gita 18:5. Actions based upon sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned. They must certainly be performed. Indeed, acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are purifying even for those who are wise. Bhagavad Gita 18:6. These activities must be performed without attachment and expectation for rewards. This is my definite and supreme verdict, O Arjun. Bhagavad Gita 18:7. Prescribed duties should never be renounced. Such deluded renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Bhagavad Gita 18.8. To give up prescribed duties because they are troublesome or cause bodily discomfort is renunciation in the mode of passion. Such renunciation is never beneficial or elevating. Bhagavad Gita 18:9. When actions are undertaken in response to duty and one relinquishes attachment to any reward, O Arjun, it is considered renunciation in the nature of goodness. Bhagavad Gita 18:10. Those who neither avoid disagreeable work nor seek work because it is agreeable are persons of true renunciation. They are endowed with the quality of the mode of goodness and have no doubts about the nature of work. Bhagavad Gita 18:11. For the embodied being, it is impossible to give up activities entirely, but those who relinquish the fruits of their actions are said to be truly renounced. Bhagavad Gita 18:12. The threefold fruits of actions, pleasant, unpleasant, and mixed, accrue even after death to those who are attached to personal reward. But for those who renounce the fruits of their actions, there are no such results in the here or hereafter. Bhagavad Gita 18:13. O Arjun, now learn from me about the 5 factors that have been mentioned for the accomplishment of all actions in the doctrine of Sankhya, which explains how to stop the reactions of karmas. Bhagavad Gita 18:14. The body, the doer, soul, the various senses, the many kinds of efforts, and divine providence. These are the 5 factors of action. Bhagavad Gita 18:15, 18:16. These 5 are the contributory factors for whatever action is performed, whether proper or improper, with body, speech, or mind. Those who do not understand this regard the soul as the only doer. With their impure intellects, they cannot see things as they are. Bhagavad Gita 18:17. Those who are free from the ego of being the doer, and whose intellect is unattached, though they may slay living beings. They neither kill, nor are they bound by actions. Have you ever wondered what truly drives your actions? Is it a deep sense of purpose, a burning desire for success, or just a habit you can't seem to shake? The Bhagavad Gita, an ancient text of profound wisdom, offers a fascinating framework for understanding our own motivations. It tells us that everything we do, think, and even know is influenced by 3 fundamental forces, or modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Today, we're diving deep into Chapter 18 to explore how these 3 modes shape our knowledge, our actions, and even our very identity as a doer. This isn't just ancient philosophy, it's a practical guide to understanding yourself and transforming your life. Let's start with the basics. The Gita says that every action is set in motion by 3 things: the knowledge you have, the object of that knowledge, what you're focused on, and you, the knower. Think of it like cooking. You need the knowledge of the recipe, the ingredients as the object, and you, the chef. These 3 things get the process started. Then, the action itself is made up of 3 components. The instruments you use, like the pots and pans, the act of cooking itself, and you, the doer who performs the action. So there's an impulse to act and the execution of the act. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Gita tells us that the quality of our knowledge, actions, and even ourselves as the doer can be categorized into 3 distinct types based on the modes of nature. Let's break it down. First, let's talk about knowledge. What does it mean to see the world through the lens of goodness, or sattva? This is the highest form of knowledge. It's when you look at all the incredible diversity of life, people, animals, plants, and you see one single, undivided, eternal reality running through it all. It's the understanding that despite our different bodies, names, and circumstances, we are all connected by a common spiritual essence. This is the vision of a sage, the perspective of unity. It's seeing the ocean, not just the individual waves. This knowledge brings peace, clarity, and a profound sense of connection to everything and everyone. Now, what about knowledge in the mode of passion, or rajas? This is the way most of us tend to see the world. We see everyone as separate and distinct individuals. My family is different from your family. My goals are my own. My happiness is separate from yours. This knowledge focuses on the differences, the labels, the external forms. It creates a world of me versus you, leading to competition, attachment, and a constant need to differentiate and categorize. While this view helps us navigate the practical world, the Gita suggests it's a limited perspective because it misses the underlying unity that knowledge in goodness reveals. It sees the waves, but completely misses the ocean they are a part of. Then we have knowledge in the mode of ignorance, or tamas. This is the most limited and distorted way of knowing. It's when someone takes a small, partial truth and clings to it as if it were the whole picture. Think of someone obsessed with a single, narrow ideology, unable to see any other perspective. This kind of knowledge isn't based on reason or truth. It's rooted in delusion. It is like looking at a single pixel on a screen and thinking you understand the entire movie. It's a fragmented, constricted view of reality that often leads to stubbornness, misunderstanding, and irrational behavior. It's not just seeing the waves. It is seeing only a single drop of spray and thinking that S all there is to the sea. So, these different types of knowledge naturally lead to different types of action. Action in the mode of goodness is performed according to one's duty, without being attached to the results. You do what needs to be done because it's the right thing to do. You're not worried about getting praise, a promotion, or any specific reward. You're also not driven by dislike or aversion. You simply act with a sense of purpose and detachment. This kind of action is calm, steady, and brings a deep sense of inner fulfillment. It's work done as a service, as an offering, without any strings attached. In contrast, action in the mode of passion is all about, what's in it for me? It's driven by a strong desire for the fruits of your labor, money, fame, power. There's often a lot of ego and pride involved. Look at what I accomplished! This type of action is characterized by intense effort and a great deal of stress. You're constantly striving, worrying about the outcome, and pushing yourself to the limit. While it can lead to great worldly achievements, it often leaves you feeling exhausted, anxious, and never quite satisfied. Because the desire for more is endless. And what does action in the mode of ignorance look like? This is action undertaken without any forethought. You jump into something without considering the consequences, your own abilities, or the potential harm it could cause to yourself or others. It's reckless, chaotic, and often destructive. It's starting a project out of a whim, with no plan, and abandoning it halfway through. This kind of action stems from delusion and laziness, and it almost always leads to loss, regret, and suffering for everyone involved. Now let's look in the mirror. The Gita also describes the doer, the performer of the action, in these three modes. A person in the mode of goodness is free from ego and attachment. They are full of enthusiasm and determination, but they remain completely balanced whether they succeed or fail. They do their best, but their inner peace isn't dependent on the outcome. They find joy in the process, not just the prize. This is the state of a true yogi in action, steady and centered. The performer in the mode of passion is a completely different story. They are driven by a constant craving for the results of their work. They tend to be greedy, impure in their motives, and can even be violent or harsh in their pursuit of goals. Their emotional state is a roller coaster. They are swept up in joy when things go their way and plunged into sorrow when they do not. Their happiness is entirely external, dependent on the unpredictable world of results. Finally, the performer in the mode of ignorance is described as undisciplined, vulgar, and stubborn. They can be deceitful, lazy, and tend to put things off. They are often pessimistic and despondent, stuck in a state of negativity. This is the person who complains but does nothing, who cheats to get by, and who resists any form of discipline or positive change. Their actions, or lack thereof, create a cycle of inertia and despair. Beyond knowledge and action, the Gita explains that our intellect and determination are also colored by these three modes. Intellect in the mode of goodness is clear and sharp. It knows the difference between right and wrong action, between what should be feared and what shouldn't, and what leads to bondage versus what leads to liberation. It's your inner moral compass, functioning perfectly, guiding you toward what is truly beneficial. An intellect in the mode of passion, however, is confused. It can't clearly distinguish between righteousness and unrighteousness, between duty and non-duty. Right and wrong become blurry, often distorted by selfish desires. Should I tell a small lie to get ahead? Is this action really hurting anyone? This clouded intellect leads to indecision and morally ambiguous choices, all driven by personal gain. And the intellect in the mode of ignorance is completely upside down. It's shrouded in darkness, it takes what is wrong and thinks it's right. It sees irreligion as religion and believes falsehoods to be the truth. This is the mind of a fanatic, or someone completely lost in delusion, where their entire perception of reality is inverted, leading them down a path of self-destruction. Finally, let's look at determination, or willpower. Determination in the mode of goodness is the unwavering resolve that comes from a dedicated spiritual practice like yoga. It's the power that sustains the mind, the breath, and the senses, keeping them focused on a higher purpose without deviation. It's a steady, unbreakable inner strength. Determination in the mode of passion is the willpower we use to chase after worldly goals. It's the grit that makes someone hold on tightly to their ambitions for wealth, pleasure, or duty, all because they are attached to the rewards. This is the determination of a driven entrepreneur or an ambitious athlete, fueled by the desire for the trophy at the end. By understanding this framework of the three modes, we gain a powerful tool for self-analysis. We can start to observe our own thoughts, actions, and motivations without judgment. Am I acting out of a desire for connection, a desire for personal gain, or out of sheer confusion? The Gita doesn't just give us labels, it gives us a roadmap. The goal is to gradually purify our consciousness, moving away from the chaos of ignorance and the stress of passion, and cultivating more and more of the clarity, peace, and purpose found in the mode of goodness. This is the path to true freedom and lasting happiness. Have you ever felt stuck, like you're running in circles, chasing things that promise happiness but leave you feeling empty? Or maybe you're confused about your purpose, what you're really meant to be doing in this life. The Bhagavad Gita, an ancient text of profound wisdom, offers some incredible insights into these very questions. In its final chapter, chapter 18, it lays out a practical roadmap to find genuine happiness and ultimate fulfillment. So, let's explore this together. And first, let's talk about determination. We all have goals, right? But what fuels our drive? The Gita talks about three kinds of determination. There's one born from ignorance, where we cling to things like daydreaming, fear, sadness, and ego. It's like being stuck in a mental fog, unable to let go of negativity. This kind of resolve doesn't lead us anywhere productive. It just keeps us trapped in a cycle of suffering. Does that sound familiar? We've all been there, holding on to things that don't serve us. Now let's switch gears to happiness. This is a big one. Everyone wants to be happy, but the Gita explains that not all happiness is created equal. It describes three types, and understanding them can change everything. First, there's happiness in the mode of goodness. This is the kind that feels tough at the beginning, like poison, but transforms into sweet nectar in the end. Think about studying for an exam, training for a marathon, or learning a new skill. It requires discipline, effort, and maybe even some discomfort up front. But the long-term result? Pure joy, growth, and a deep sense of accomplishment. This happiness comes from a clear mind and true self-knowledge. It's the real deal, the kind that lasts. Next up is happiness in the mode of passion. This one is tricky. It feels amazing at first, like sweet nectar, but eventually turns into poison. This is the happiness we get from our senses, that new gadget, that delicious but unhealthy meal, the thrill of instant gratification. It's a quick high, a temporary rush. But what happens when the novelty wears off? We're often left feeling empty, maybe even regretful, and craving the next hit. It's a roller coaster that ultimately leads to disappointment. Finally, there's happiness in the mode of ignorance. This is the most deceptive of all. It's the bliss we find in sleep, laziness, and just not caring. It's when we choose to ignore our problems and responsibilities, numbing ourselves to reality. This happiness masks our true self from start to finish. It feels like an escape, but it's really a trap that prevents any kind of growth or true joy. It's a state of self-delusion. The Gita makes a powerful statement. No one in this world, from the smallest creature on earth to the beings in the heavens, is free from these three modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. They influence our choices, our actions, and our experience of life. The key isn't to pretend they don't exist, but to understand them and consciously choose to cultivate the mode of goodness. So how do we do that? How do we find that lasting happiness and live a life of purpose? The Gita's answer is surprisingly practical. It's all about our work, our duty, what it calls our dharma. Now this is where things get really interesting. The Gita explains that society has different roles, not based on birth or social status, but based on our natural qualities, our innate inclinations. It describes four broad categories. First, the Brahmins. These are individuals who are naturally inclined towards tranquility, self-control, purity, patience, integrity, and the pursuit of knowledge and wisdom. They are the teachers, thinkers, and spiritual guides. Their work is driven by a quest for truth. Then there are the Kshatriyas. These are the natural leaders and protectors, defined by qualities like bravery, strength, determination, skill in action, generosity, and the ability to lead. They are the administrators and defenders who ensure society is safe and well-governed. Next, the Vaishyas. These individuals have a natural talent for generating wealth and managing resources. Their qualities lean towards agriculture, trade, and commerce. They are the entrepreneurs and business people who keep the economy flowing. And finally, the Shudras. These are people whose nature finds fulfillment in service and supporting the other functions of society. Their work is the essential foundation upon which everything else is built. It's crucial to understand this isn't a rigid, hereditary caste system. The Gita says these roles are distributed according to our innate qualities, our gunas. It's about what you are naturally good at and what resonates with your inner being. Your nature, not your family line, determines your ideal work. And here is the most beautiful part. The Gita says that by performing your own natural duty, you can attain perfection. It doesn't matter if you're a scholar, a soldier, a merchant, or a helper. What matters is that you are doing your work with dedication. How does this work? The Gita explains that when you perform your natural work, you are essentially worshipping the creator of the universe. Your work becomes a form of devotion. Every action, when done with the right consciousness, connects you to the divine source from which all beings have come. By doing your own job, you are serving the whole, and through that service, you find perfection. This leads to another profound piece of advice. It is far better to do your own duty, even if you do it imperfectly, than to try and do someone else's duty, even if you could do it perfectly. Why? Because when you act according to your own nature, you're in alignment. You're being true to yourself. Trying to be someone you're not, even if you're good at it, creates internal conflict and spiritual discord. When you stick to your own path, you don't accumulate negative karma or sin. But what if your job isn't perfect? What if there are flaws or difficulties? The Gita has an answer for that too. It says we shouldn't abandon our natural duties just because we see defects in them. Think about it. Every single endeavor in this world has some flaw, just as fire is always accompanied by smoke. Nothing is perfect. The idea that there's a perfect job out there with no challenges is a myth. The key is to work through the imperfections of your own path, rather than jumping to another path that will just have its own set of problems. So the goal is to perform our natural work, but with a specific mindset. The secret to transforming work into a path to freedom is detachment. The Gita advises us to have an intellect that is unattached to the results, a mind that is under control, and a heart that is free from worldly desires. When you work without constantly craving a specific outcome, like praise, money, or power, you are practicing renunciation in action. This practice leads to the highest perfection, freedom from the chains of action and reaction, or karma. So, you've reached this state of perfection through dedicated, detached action. What's next? The Gita says this is the stepping stone to attaining the ultimate reality, Brahman. By being firmly established in this transcendental knowledge, understanding your true self beyond the body and mind, you connect with the ultimate, eternal consciousness. So, to wrap it all up, true happiness isn't found in fleeting pleasures or lazy escapes. It's found in the steady, disciplined pursuit of what's good and true. Your purpose isn't some mysterious secret. It's found in embracing your own natural qualities and performing your work as a dedicated offering. It's better to be an imperfect you than a perfect imitation of someone else. Don't abandon your path because it's difficult. All paths are. Instead, work with detachment, free your mind from the obsession with results, and you will find not just success, but true freedom and ultimate fulfillment. This is the timeless wisdom of the Gita, a guide for all of us, right here, right now. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights. See you next time. Bhagavad Gita, 1851-1853. One becomes fit to attain Brahman when he or she possesses a purified intellect and firmly restrains the senses, abandoning sound and other objects of the senses, casting aside attraction and aversion. Such a person relishes solitude, eats lightly, controls body, mind, and speech, is ever engaged in meditation, and practices dispassion. Free from egotism, violence, arrogance, desire, possessiveness of property and selfishness, such a person, situated in tranquility, is fit for union with Brahman, i.e., realization of the absolute truth as Brahman. Bhagavad Gita 1854. 1. Situated in the transcendental Brahman realization, becomes mentally serene, neither grieving nor desiring, being equitably disposed toward all living beings. Such a yogi attains supreme devotion unto me. Bhagavad Gita 1855. Only by loving devotion to me does one come to know who I am in truth. Then, having come to know me, my devotee enters into full consciousness of me. Bhagavad Gita 1856. My devotees, though performing all kinds of actions, take full refuge in me. By my grace, they attain the eternal and imperishable abode. Bhagavad Gita 1857. Dedicate your every activity to me, making me your supreme goal. Taking shelter of the yoga of the intellect, keep your consciousness absorbed in me always. Bhagavad Gita 1858. If you always remember me, by my grace you shall overcome all obstacles and difficulties. But if, due to pride, you do not listen to my advice, you will perish. Bhagavad Gita 1859. If, motivated by pride, you think, I shall not fight, your decision will be in vain. Your own nature will compel you to fight. Bhagavad Gita 1860. O Arjun, that action which out of delusion you do not wish to do, you will be driven to do it by your own inclination, born of your own material nature. Bhagavad Gita 1861. The Supreme Lord dwells in the hearts of all living beings, O Arjun. According to their karmas, he directs the wanderings of the souls, who are seated on a machine made of material energy. Bhagavad Gita 1862. Surrender exclusively unto him with your whole being, O Bharat. By his grace, you will attain perfect peace and the eternal abode. Bhagavad Gita 1863. Thus, I have explained to you this knowledge that is more secret than all secrets. Ponder over it deeply, and then do as you wish. Bhagavad Gita 1864. Here again, my supreme instruction, the most confidential of all knowledge. I am revealing this for your benefit, because you are very dear to me. Bhagavad Gita 1865. Always think of me, be devoted to me, worship me, and offer obeisance to me. Doing so, you will certainly come to me. This is my pledge to you, for you are very dear to me. Bhagavad Gita 1866. Abandon all varieties of dharmas, and simply surrender unto me alone. I shall liberate you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Bhagavad Gita 1867. This instruction should never be explained to those who are not austere or to those who are not devoted. It should also not be spoken to those who are averse to listening to spiritual topics, and especially not to those who are envious of me. Bhagavad Gita 1868. Amongst my devotees, those who teach this most confidential knowledge perform the greatest act of love. They will come to me, without doubt. Bhagavad Gita 1869. No human being does more loving service to me than they, nor shall there ever be anyone on this earth more dear to me. Bhagavad Gita 1870. And I proclaim that those who study this sacred dialogue of ours will worship me with their intellect through the sacrifice of knowledge. Such is my view. Bhagavad Gita 1871. Even those who only listen to this knowledge with faith and without envy will be liberated from sins and attain the auspicious abodes where the pious dwell. Bhagavad Gita 1872. O Arjun, have you heard me with a concentrated mind? Have your ignorance and delusion been destroyed? Bhagavad Gita 1873. Arjun said, O infallible one, by your grace my illusion has been dispelled, and I am situated in knowledge. I am now free from doubts, and I shall act according to your instructions. Bhagavad Gita 1874. Sanjay said, Thus have I heard this wonderful conversation between Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudev, and Arjun, the noble-hearted son of Pritha. So thrilling is the message that my hair is standing on end. Bhagavad Gita 1875. By the grace of Veda Vyas, I have heard this supreme and most secret yog from the Lord of Yog, Sri Krishna himself. Bhagavad Gita, 1876. As I repeatedly recall this astonishing and wonderful dialogue between the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, and Arjun, O King, I rejoice again and again. Bhagavad Gita, 1877. And remembering that most astonishing and wonderful cosmic form of Lord Krishna, great is my astonishment, and I am thrilled with joy over and over again. Bhagavad Gita, 1878. Wherever there is Sri Krishna, the Lord of all Yog, and wherever there is Arjun, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be unending opulence, victory, prosperity, and righteousness. Of this I am certain.